Rodney Jacob.
Half a day, the Committee on General Government Operation and Appropriation now called to order. Today is Monday, August 5th. The time now is 2:00 p.m. Public notice in compliance with open government law. The notice for this public hearing were posted on the GovGuam public notice portal, GTA TV channel 21 and Docomo channel 117, and live stream on the Guam Legislature YouTube, and disseminated via email to all senators and all main media broadcasting outlets on Monday, July 29, 2024, and Thursday, August 1st. Today, the first bill to be addressed would be Bill 284-37 LS, introduced by Vice Speaker Tina Rose Munoz Barnes, co-sponsored by myself, Senator San Agustin, Senator Roy Canata, Senator Frank Blas Jr., Senator Chris Duenas, and Senator Jesse Lohan. An act to appropriate $966,925 from the general fund to the Guam Community College for the funding of the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education, WICHE, Professional Student Exchange Program. And then it'll be followed by Bill 331-37 COR, introduced by myself, Senator Snogsteen, co-sponsored by Senator Roy Canata, Senator Dwayne Snickles, Senator Vice Speaker Tina Rose Munoz Barnes, Senator William Parsons, Senator Amanda Shelton, Senator Jesse Luan, and Senator Chris Duenas. And that bill is an act to appropriate $5 million from the fiscal year 2024 general fund revenues collected in excess of the adopted levels enumerated in Public Law 37-42 as amended to the Department of Parks and Recreation for the purpose of purchasing equipment and supplies for the enhancement and maintenance, repairs, and operation of Guam's parks and recreational facilities and beaches under its jurisdiction, in addition to the purchase of essential equipment for the Park Patrol Division. We will now begin on Bill 284-37 LS. Physical note was requested on April, and it was received and disseminated to all senators via email by the Committee on Rules on May 8th. Those participating on behalf of Bill 284-37 are invited to the panel, and the individual that has been invited is John De La Rosa. And if I'm correct, we have someone that will be, two will be zooming in. Rules of engagement. The conduct of this public hearing shall be as follows. Please provide my legislative staff with any document for photocopying and distribution. Panel members are asked to remain in the room or on Zoom for question or additional testimony as may be desired by members of the committee. Question and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of the agenda. Personal inference as to the character or motive of any senator or any individual testifying is not permitted. Any violation of this general rule of conduct will result in removal from the public hearing. Proper form and decorum shall be practiced by all present in the public hearing room for these proceedings. Individuals who fail to maintain proper form and decorum will be restricted from participating and will be escorted or removed from the room. When you speak, please make sure that the microphone is on, that you speak into the microphone. Please state your name and your title for the record. And with that, I'd like to thank my colleagues that have joined me this afternoon. I have the author of the bill, Vice Speaker Tina Rose Munoz Barnes, Senator Roy Canata, and my Vice Chair, Senator Telo Taidegui, and Senator Jesse Lohan. With that, I'd like to ask the author of the bill, Vice Speaker Tina Rose Munoz Barnes, to give her opening statement. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Many of God's blessings to all of us here and to the listening audience. Thank you, Mr. Chair and esteemed members of the committee. I want to share with you that Bill 284-37 LS aims to continue a very, very promising program which bridges the affordability gap facing our students. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Chair, the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Educational Professional Student Exchange Program, which we call in short WICHE, and the PSEP program, scholarships play a vital role in our long-standing goal to create better opportunities for homegrown talent who are interested in a career of medicine. WICHE offers for undergraduate and graduate degrees. Those enrolled in the PSEP program enjoy a substantial savings between $35,700, Mr. Chair, to $140,000 over the duration of a health degree study, according to the organization, when enrolled in participating colleges and universities. And I know, Mr. Chair, that's over 160 universities. As the Commission has stated about the railroad concerns addressed through the Professional Student Exchange Program, which is the PSEP, quote, with out-of-state tuition for some healthcare programs, often exceeding resident tuition by over 300%. This can be daunting for tomorrow's health professionals. It may saddle them in debt, force them to leave their community for more lucrative opportunities, or discourage them from pursuing a passion to heal. In addition, Mr. Chair, to help underscore the return of our government's investment in 2023 and 2024 academic year, Guam students saved more than $1.5 million through the undergraduate and graduate tuition programs offered through WICHE. The appropriation of $1 million to the Guam Community College for WICHE's PSEP scholarships underscores our commitment to enhancing educational opportunities and workforce development on the island. These funds complement a proposal to invest in this program during the upcoming academic year, which I hope you will hear soon, Mr. Chair, with another round of infusion of direct capital in fiscal year 2025. Mr. Chair, these appropriations directly support our students pursuing degrees in the fields essential to Guam's future prosperity and resilience. So, Mr. Chair, as a former member of the Guam, as a former member of the Guam Educational Board, I know you'll agree with this sentiment. Education is the cornerstone of our island's growth and prosperity. WICHE's PSEP benefits offers invaluable incentives that bridge the affordability gap that can make all the difference for our promising young adults who want to spend their careers healing the sick. The disciplines offered for Guam students can refill gaps in the medical services offered here at home, including dentistry, allopathic medicine, occupational therapy, optometry, osteopathic medicine, pharmacy, physical therapy, podiatry, and veterinary medicine. By investing in these programs like WICHE's PSEP, we not only empower our youth with the tools they need to succeed, but we also strengthen our island's economy through the education and workforce development. This appropriation, colleagues, will enable more students to pursue their professional dreams without the burden of exorbitant tuition costs. It will ensure that our students have the support they need to succeed and return to our island of Guam as highly qualified professionals who can contribute to the health and well-being of our island. And I also want to note, Mr. Chair, for the record, that this measure, while similar to another bill this committee has heard, is different in an important way. This bill, Bill number 284-37 LS, provides funding to the Professional Student Exchange Program, the PSEP program, for this fiscal year, while the other bill, which is number 303-37, appropriates the needed funds for next fiscal year. So, Mr. Chair, I look forward to hearing the testimony from the Guam Community College, and they're here with us, and others on how this appropriation will enhance educational opportunities and enrich the workforce here on our island of Guam. For allowing me to express my support, Mr. Chair, for this initiative, and I truly ask my colleagues and urge my colleagues to consider the profound impact this investment will have on the future of our education here on our island of Guam. And with that, Mr. Chair, I know that there is a list with the community college of students already wanting to enroll in this program and just waiting for the resources. So, and to the WICHE, who is here, the president is here, I want to say thank you, and to Attorney Ronnie Jacobs, thank you for always taking the time, but more importantly, to advocating for this program for the needs of our students here and helping make a difference. So I yield back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Madam Vice Speaker. Now, the two individuals on the Zoom, we'll have them speak first, and then Mr. De La Rosa will follow. Okay, so have them come online, and so we can get their testimony. We'll begin with the president, and then the next individual. Sure.
Mr. Chairman, this is Rod. Do you mind if I start, the president of WICHE and I coordinated it so we'd have a more efficient presentation, if that's okay with the committee and the chairman?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay. Great. Good afternoon, Chairman San Agustin, of course, Vice Speaker Tina Munoz Barnes, who's been our champion for many, many years, and all the members of this committee and legislature who have also championed WICHE over the past, gosh, now 8 years. I want to say thank you, and thank you for accommodating our testimony first. Both myself, I'm in the mainland with my parents, and President Nicolau is in headquarters in Denver. My name is Rodney Jacob. I am here to support Bill 28437. The bill is to fund the Professional Student Exchange Program administered by WICHE. WICHE is an interstate compact of all Western states and now the U.S. Pacific Territories and freely associated states that work collaboratively to expand educational access and excellence for all citizens of the West. I am here as a citizen who, like many of us, have dedicated years to capacity building through education with this legislature and our community. This bill is an important step in a series of steps that the legislature and our governors have taken since 2016 in partnership with WICHE to deal with financial access for students who seek advanced professional healthcare degrees. I'm also here in my capacity as a WICHE commissioner. I represent Guam on the commission with 2 other brothers from Micronesia. WICHE's mission is simple, and we've seen it on Guam succeed. It's to increase access to higher education for all of us. And I'm pleased to recognize the president of WICHE, Demi Nicolau, who, as I said, is present here with me on Zoom, and she's in Denver, where WICHE's headquarters are. Now, since 2016, the legislature has achieved really important milestones with WICHE. First, when we joined, we obtained access to 2 of the 3 student exchange programs. We're talking about the funding of the 3rd program today, the PSEP. But I want to reiterate what the Vice Speaker has said about the first 2 exchange programs that we have been beneficiaries of. And they are the Western Undergraduate Exchange, or WUI, and the Regional Graduate Program through WICHE. And since we've started, because of this legislature's decisions, families and students have saved over $8.3 million through just these 2 student exchange programs. And that's direct savings to our families and our students. There's no middleman, no pass-through, nobody makes money on this. It's a simple pass-through and benefit for our families and students. And second, through a lot of local efforts, including the Vice Speaker's office, the Department of the Interior has funded the full Pacific-wide membership. And that meant 2 things, 2 important things. First, Guam was relieved of the obligation to pay its share of the WICHE membership. And we used to split it with the CNMI. The Department of Interior took that over because all of the governors, including ours, and our legislature supported that effort with DOI. And the second thing, and I'm so proud of this, and I know that the committee and our legislature is too, that everybody in Guam, no matter what island country they come from, benefits now because of that action. And I want to say thank you for that effort. Now, the third of the three milestones that I had mentioned is the Barada Act. The Vice Speaker sponsored that. It got unanimous support, and it was approved in 2022. The PSEP was the byproduct of the Barada Act. As I said, it had unanimous community support, and it answered the call by many young college graduates, especially from our own very, very awesome University of Guam, to get a healthcare degree, an advanced healthcare degree. This bill, 28437, funds the PSEP funding requirements that now set in motion what the Barada Act aimed to do. And that is to fund student education, to participate in the PSEP, and to have them return home to Guam to work in our very much needed healthcare sector. So in closing, again, I'd like to express my sincere gratitude to the chairman, to Vice Speaker Munya Barnes for her special attention to Guam's interests in WICHE over the years, and the members of this legislature for their support of WICHE, the Barada Act, and this funding bill. And I don't know that she's in the room, but I also would like to say thank you to Dr. Mary Okada and her colleagues at GCC for their leadership in bringing the program to life. And of course, also President Anita Enriquez from UOG for continuing participation as UOG is a WICHE member university, and their deep resources that she has turned the switch on inform WICHE about our island and our needs. So thank you very much. And I'd like to introduce again Ms. Demi Mikolau, who is the president of WICHE. She has been out to Guam many times, most recently in April with our board leadership, and has been very, very supportive of all of our student needs and all of the needs on Guam. So thank you again.
Thank you, Attorney Jacobs. Ms. Michelot?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Commissioner Jacob. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Demi Mikolau, and I'm the president of the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education, or WICHE. WICHE was established through the Western Regional Education Compact back in 1953, and our mission is to increase access to high-quality higher education for all residents of the West. We deeply value our partnership with Guam that has been in place since 2016. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to you, Mr. Chairman, Vice Speaker Tina Munya Barnes, the members of this committee and the legislature for their support of WICHE's Professional Student Exchange Program, or PSEP. In addition, thank you to Dr. Mary Okada and her colleagues at Guam Community College for their leadership in bringing this program to life in support of Guam's residents. And finally, I'd like to thank Commissioner Rodney Jacob for his leadership and support of both WICHE and Guam and our longstanding collaboration. Western states and territories leverage PSEP as a flexible workforce development tool aimed at preparing students for careers in high-demand healthcare fields. Through PSEP, students pursuing careers in 10 healthcare fields ranging from optometry to dentistry to veterinary medicine receive substantial tuition support from their home territory or state, as the case may be, and may enroll in over 130 accredited programs at 63 institutions throughout the WICHE region. The programs offered through WICHE are generally not offered within their home borders in order to avoid incentivizing students to leave home for professional studies and to not compete with their own first-rate colleges and universities. And further, typically once a state starts its own public program in a field, it will no longer fund students through PSEP. And importantly, Western territories and states benefit by inspiring and compelling PSEP graduates to return home to practice and bolster the professional healthcare workforce of their own communities. A student can save between $36,500 and $142,800 on their tuition over the course of earning their degree in healthcare. PSEP in Guam is administered through a partnership through GCC as established through the Barada Act, as was mentioned, and this proposed funding is intended to fund students directly to participate in PSEP and return to Guam to work in healthcare. In the first year of participation, Guam intends to fund students in 5 of the fields that are offered: allopathic medicine, occupational therapy, osteopathic medicine, pharmacy, and physical therapy. WICHE recognizes the significant investment of financial resources and time that the legislature is considering providing to GCC to invest in Guam students and their future through PSEP. We know that it's considerable. WICHE is committed to supporting Guam and everyone working on this effort in this endeavor, and we stand ready to support you in whatever way we can. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we'll proceed with Mr. De La Rosa from GCC, sir.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Vice Speaker Barnes, Munya Barnes, Senator Kanata, Senator Taitagui, and Senator Lujan. And thank you to President Michelot and to Attorney Jacobs for your testimony and support today. I'm here on behalf of Dr. Mary Okada, the President of GCC, and I would just want to just read her testimony to you. Hafaday Chairman San Agustin, Vice Speaker Munya Barnes, and the members of the Committee on General Government Operations and Appropriations. My name is Mary Okada, and I serve as the President and CEO of the Guam Community College. Thank you for allowing me to testify today on behalf of the Guam Community College in full support of Bill number 284-37, an act to appropriate $966,925 from the General Fund to the Guam Community College for the funding of the Western Interstate Commission for Higher Education Professional Student Exchange Program scholarships. Through 17 GCA Chapter 24, the Barada Act, the Guam Community College is designated as the Guam office for the Western Interstate Commission on Higher Education's PSEP program. The Guam WICHE PSEP office was established to offer scholarship funding support for aspiring medical professionals who, upon completing their respective programs, would be required to return to Guam to fulfill their obligation to practice in their field of study for 5 years. The Guam PSEP office has been operational since January 2023, establishing the process for receiving and qualifying applicants for funding support in alignment with the PSEP program. We are happy to report that GCC has received 9 applications in this first round, with 5 affirming their desire to receive PSEP funding and to commit to WICHE schools. 3 qualified applicants will pursue their degrees in pharmacy, 1 in allopathic medicine, and 1 in osteopathic medicine. Initial funding for the 5 applicants who confirmed their interest in the PSEP program for the upcoming academic year amounts to $86,675. The college secured funding commitments of $190,664 for 1 pharmacy candidate and 1 allopathic medicine candidate for the PSEP scholarship amount through the 4 years of its training. Given the initial response, we anticipate that applications will increase significantly as more candidates for the program consider WICHE schools as their institutions of choice to pursue their respective degrees. Students pursuing a degree in the 10 different health fields can save between $34,100 and $133,600 on tuition for their graduate studies. In addition to the appropriation provided through Bill number 284-37 COR, the college is also developing a program to further expand its efforts to raise additional funds to support the program's growth. We fully believe the community will support this effort to increase the number of doctors who return to Guam to practice. The Guam Community College did not include WICHE's PSEP scholarship funding in our FY 2025 budget request, as we did not at that time receive any applications prior to the submission date for the budgets. Through the past several years, we recognized the need to increase the capacity of our island in these medical fields. Through our collective efforts, we can provide the necessary financial assistance to support Guam residents in pursuing their respective fields of study and to incentivize their return to practice on Guam. We thank you for your support and the intent of the Barada Act and GCC's efforts to fulfill the mandate and support the future medical students, professionals of Guam. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. De La Rosa. Now I have the Vice Speaker, the author of the bill, read the two testimony that was provided. Madam Vice, if you can go ahead and read those two testimony for the record.
I do have a question, Mr. Chair, and I'll ask it after I read the testimonies. Hafaday Senator San Agustin. My name is Jacqueline Flores Cabusi, a resident and former student from Guam, continuing my education at the University of Washington School of Pharmacy. I'm writing this testimony to humbly ask for your support of Bill 284-37 LS. As you know, continuing higher education is in various medical fields such as pharmacy is not possible on Guam due to the absence of schooling opportunities and professional program shortages. For students looking to pursue medicine and serve our island, this leaves no option other than attending an off-island graduate level program for a number of years. The main obstacle that many professional students such as myself are faced with when pursuing fields in the healthcare is the tremendous financial obligation needed to fund such programs. At the University of Washington School of Pharmacy, tuition for out-of-state residents is nearly twofold that of in-state residents. Faced with these issues, most students either must delay schooling to accumulate funding or must compromise prestigious institutions and our education for more affordable options. If the decision to proceed forth with schooling is made, as it was in my case, we are left with no choice but to maximize student loans or work while in school. Although both viable options, both pose a risk to our focus on education, as we worry for our financial stability in the long term and more energy is spent on work than on academics. Pursuing higher education in the field of medicine is something that many students do so we can return to our island and serve our people with the tools and knowledge we gain. But by supporting students as they study in such fields, we invest in the future of medicine in Guam and invest in a better quality of health care for our people. Bill 284-37 LS further that support for our students by providing necessary funds for students entering professionals programs off-island. It allows WICHE, PSEP, the ability to alleviate some financial burden that will inevitably are facing with. Once again, I humbly ask you for your support for this bill so I, along with many of my peers pursuing careers in STEM, may have the tools to get the education we need to contribute to the healthcare system on Guam. Respectfully, Jacqueline R. Flores Cabusi, University of Washington School of Pharmacy, PharmD candidate, class of 2027. Hafaday Honorable San Agustin, my name is Gino R. Quintal. I am an incoming first-year osteopathic medicine student and applicant for the WICHE PSEP program. I am writing in support of Bill number 284-37 LS in funding PSEP scholarships. Health disparities resulting from barriers to healthcare access are evident in Guam. The shortage of specialist physicians forces many Guamanians to travel off-island to seek medical care. My grandmother was one such patient. She was referred to the Philippines, but unfortunately passed away there from her disease. It was her death and the later realization of the resources that Guam lacked that sparkled my interest in pursuing medicine as a career. Although I am away for school, I keep my heart close to Guam and remember the beautiful island community that raised me, hoping that someday I will return to serve them as a physician. Healthcare education and training off island is challenging and expensive. local students who do pursue these fields are compelled to accept higher compensated job offers off island to pay off their educational loans. However, funding opportunities such as WICHE's PSEP will help lighten the financial burden for those pursuing these competitive fields, thus incentivizing students to bring their knowledge and skills back home to their communities. Therefore, I urge the committee to pass Bill 284-37LS to improve our healthcare capacity and bridge the gaps in healthcare disparities in Guam. Thank you for taking the time to review this testimony. Very respectfully, Gino R. Cantil, MS. So, Mr. Chair, if I may ask my question at this time. And this would be to all the panel members that are on, anyone who would like to answer that. While Guam is just beginning to start the PSEP program in the infancy stages, if you may, based on what you see with more mature states, can you share some of the successes of the PSEP program in other jurisdictions? And Mr. Chair, before they answer that, I also want to note that WICHE has been very, very, very instrumental in the programs working closely with behavioral health, that Guam has been able to see successful partnerships and collaborations with behavioral health on Guam here and with WICHE. So my question to them is, can you share some of the successes of the PSE program in other jurisdictions? And I guess that would be to the panel members on Zoom.
So I'll Vice Speaker, thank you for that question, and I'll let our president answer that. And we'll get more substantive information as well. But I do want to say one very important success story to a lot of us from our community and the region. Dr. Frank Romero, who retired a few years ago as a pediatric dentist, came out in the 70s and spent his entire career on Guam, including training some pretty remarkable dental assistants. One of them I fell in love with, and that would be my wife, Dina. But Dr. Romero grew up in a very small town in northern New Mexico. He was a pharmacist at the University of New Mexico, struggled like many of our families do, and became a pharmacist. And he had the occasion to meet a former president of WICHE that came out a few years ago when I found out that they were both from the same small town in New Mexico. And what he shared was that he never could have become a dentist without WICHE and a PSEP program, because he couldn't afford at the time the financial scholarship that was necessary to do so. And because of WICHE, he became a dentist. And of course, I was astounded. And I asked Dr. Romero if I could share his story, because I can't imagine all of the kids, and they're now adults, on Guam and throughout Greater Micronesia, whose dental health would not be the way it is today without Dr. Romero and Dr. Romero's teaching ability of those dentists that he taught, dental assistants, but the great care that he gave our community. And he has made a tremendous impact here. So I wanted to mention that in relationship to the Vice Speaker's question. I'll turn it over to the President, but I can tell you that in addition to the testimony the Vice Speaker read, there are many students that reach out to me that want to avail of the PSEP healthcare degrees. Among them is the late Meliton Santos's grandchildren, Nathaniel Santos, who is in pharmacy school right now, hoping to avail of the stipend, and his younger sister, Audrey, as well, who wants to attend pharmacy school. Nathan is at Western University Health Sciences in Pomona.
Demi?
Thank you, Vice Speaker and Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I think I would answer that question perhaps with 2 points. First, the PSEP program is our seminal program. It was for this program that WICHE was actually formed back in 1953. We had states at the time and territories that had that just didn't have medical schools or veterinary schools and dental schools, and we still have that today, of course. And that was the reason that the governors came together, was to create these partnerships, because it's very expensive to run and support those types of programs when you have small populations. And those areas still needed the doctors, the vets, and all of those healthcare professionals. And so by coming together and collaborating, it was a more efficient way of training those healthcare professionals. And so our program has been in place since 1953, and we have trained healthcare professionals over the years, and I can actually get you that number. Over time, we have ventured into other fields as well. Currently, we're focused on healthcare, but at one point, we had a field one of our fields was law, because we had several states that didn't have law schools, and folks were finding that they had gaps in the number of attorneys that they needed. And so I think that what I can share with you is currently we are training about 557 students through PSEP across the West. Some of our states rely on the program obviously more than others, and those tend to be our smaller populated states, or our lower populated states. One anecdote that I'd like to share is just from Wyoming. Wyoming does not have a vet school, and so they really use the PSEP program as a way to train their vets. And if you know anything about Wyoming, you know that they have a lot of cattle. Some will say more cattle than people. So they need large animal vets. And they also need physical therapists, because they also have people. And so they rely on PSEP for those two fields quite a lot. And when we were working on a separate project with the legislature in Wyoming, it turns out that former Speaker Barlow was a PSEP student, and he was also a veterinarian, and actually went through the program, so understood firsthand the value of what PSEP meant for him personally and for the states. If you would like, I can follow up. I was trying to look frantically for our data on how many students we've served since 1953, and I unfortunately was not able to find it on the fly, but I could circle back if you would like that data for the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Demi, and yes, that information would be good, so that we could make sure that we append it to the committee report here. And just hearing from the both of you and knowing that there are successes out there, we always believe build it and they will come. I just want to say that this program has seen its full success, and unrelated to the previous conversations with Dr. Arcata, I understand that we have some students ready to start the medical school and eager to come back and serve our community. This was also echoed in the testimony today. Once we get the first group of students through, as we discuss the upcoming budget, do we expect an increase in the applicants to this program? And I guess that would be to John De La Rosa to this inquiry.
Yes, we are anticipating an increase in the number of applicants. We have had a number of interests. People have called us and asked us about the program. They are just running into the start of their year, and we're not in a place where they could stop what they were planning already to come into the program. But there are a number of other students who are waiting to see where we are with this for the next year.
Okay, and unrelated to the PSEP program, you had mentioned law programs, and since we are fortunate to have you here today, I'm going to ask my question. Senator Tello, to my left, my good friend to my left, has been an advocate for developing the paralegal program, and I wanted to know, can you share a little bit with how WICHE can help with paralegal programs here on Guam? I know that they've been successful programs back in a lot of the Western colleges in the U.S., so is there capacity to build those kind of programs here on Guam? To you, WICHE.
Oh, okay. Perhaps I can start, and Demi, if you want to comment. First and foremost is good afternoon, Senator Taitagui. I just want to send greetings from my mother who's with me here, and I showed her your picture on the legislative channel, and she was absolutely thrilled that I had done that. And to answer your question a little bit more generally, not about law clerks. And I have a bunch of background in that. I was the former bar president, also the federal courts representative to the Ninth Circuit currently, and also a few years ago. Some very, very good news about our utilization of WICHE's benefits for the legal profession is that there are two law schools available now to our students to go to law school to get a JD. And that is the University of Hawaii, where our students can avail of 150% of in-state tuition, and the University of Idaho, where our students can go to for in-state tuition, and those amount to tremendous savings. I want to also note that through our relationships with WICHE and the work of our federal court and local attorneys and folks in the judiciary of Guam, we have reached out to the University of Hawaii, connecting them with the University of Guam to begin a pipeline of a law pipeline to Richardson School of Law, which is at the University of Hawaii, so that we can utilize Richardson's new online distance learning program, where they're offering a 4-year JD by distance and connecting them to our campuses at the University of Guam. And very exciting, at the end of this month, and I'm one of the principal coordinators of the federal court's annual conference, which will be held on August 26th, and on August 27th is the Pacific Judicial Conference. And we're combining both conferences, and one of our speakers is Dean Camille Nelson of the Richardson School of Law, who will come here and share her ideas about how we can develop a pipeline with the university and with our regional and local judiciaries. My dream in all of this is to have a pipeline of students from Guam, the NMI, and the other islands that can go through the university, through the online program, so we don't have to impose on them the cost of moving and the cost of the expensive tuition. Add into that in-state tuition for that program, and then have a pathway, if at all possible, so that if you go through this program, you can you can become a member of our bar. akin to what the state of Washington and New Hampshire does. They are different off-ramps that allow us to grow the lawyers and judges that we all know that we need. Legal assistants are a vital component to our practice. And although I have not been focused so much on that bill, I am a big supporter of increasing capacity that leverages lawyers and judges to do the work that our community needs for lawyers. So I know that's a little bit longer of an answer, but a lot of that stemmed from WICHE and that relationship so that we could start our pipeline, even without a specialized one developed through the University of Hawaii, through at least 2 universities at WICHE. And WICHE had, in my conversations as our commissioner, has encouraged me to identify other law schools in the West in which we can create a relationship, if possible, to send our kids for in-state tuition or 150% in-state tuition. All right.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, thank you. Thank you very much, Rodney. I'll yield back to you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Vice. I'd like to also recognize Senator Dwayne Nicholas has joined us this afternoon. Senator Roy, do you have any comments or questions for the members on Zoom and on the panel?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to thank those for being here present physically and those attending in the leadership realm of WICHE for attending with us virtually. I also wanted to welcome and thank my brother John De La Rosa for being here and supporting this legislation on behalf of the GCC president. I am certain this investment will go a long way. It is also my hope that we can fund such initiatives to ensure that our people can grow and we can build our island and thrive together. I rise in full support of this proposed legislation and I look forward to its passage. I hope that we can close the gaps for services on our island and continue to invest in our people. I just have a few questions, Mr. Chair. What is the cost to support one student participating in the Professional Students Exchange Program? Can someone answer that?
Yeah, so of the list we have for allopathic medicine, it is about $35,700 is what we would contribute to the PSEP program. For osteopathic medicine, it's $25,600 annually. Pharmacy is $9,125 annually. For physical, I don't have the number for physical therapy. I apologize.
Thank
But those are the numbers we have for the applicants that we have.
Are there conditions for those the students awarded to return home and provide services to their community?
Yes.
Thank you.
As soon as they're done with school.
Thank you so much. Can you refresh my memory on what the conditions are, briefly?
They are to come back and serve for 5 years to pay off the scholarships.
Okay, thank you. Can you also, where is this program successful close to us? Any?
Hawaii?
Okay, and that's,
Yeah, just
okay.
WICHE is all over the West Coast, or the Western states.
Just wanted to help other people understand that part. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have. Nothing further.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator my Vice Chair, Senator Tideway. Maybe we get your legal program on Guam. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon to my colleagues, and especially good afternoon to you, Joe. Good to see you, as well as those who are on Zoom with us. And Rodney, please tell your mom I said hi too as well. Okay, thank you. Okay. I've I guess, well, first, Rodney, to let you know about the paralegal program, actually, the University of Guam is hoping to put a paralegal program that they once upon a time had at the University of Guam. So they are looking at resurrecting it because now we have legislation that actually defines what a paralegal is. And that's why a lot of people did not want to get into the program because there was really no emphasis on it. So I greatly appreciate the Vice Speaker, bringing up the paralegal program. It's very important, and looking forward to your support, Rodney, on that, because I know that we are lacking attorneys on this island. and many of them are leaving Guam, and paralegals are hopefully can be put in place like other jurisdictions to cover uncontested situations in the courtroom where attorneys don't need to be there. It would eliminate a lot of your workload. So that being said, back to WICHE, Mr. De La Rosa, how much did GCC receive within the year for the WICHE program coming from the legislature? What was the last amount that was provided to?
To my knowledge, we have not received any funding from it.
In the last year, you haven't received any funding, and not through the budget bill?
That's correct.
And so you have not received any funding?
Is that correct?
I mean, wouldn't you know, Mr. De Los Reyes, since you oversee the program, on how much money has been going?
As I know that we've not received any operations funding for this, specifically for the WICHE program.
Okay, so you received no funding?
Pardon me? Yeah.
Okay.
The program was just implemented in this last fiscal year.
Okay.
And so we are in the process of building that office.
Okay, because
Mr. Chair, on a point of information, real fast.
Okay,
just on a
real quick.
point. We did last term give an appropriation on last budget cycle to run the office at $70,000.
I stand corrected, that's correct.
$70,000.
Just for the operations, to stand it up.
Just for the office, and then because of that, it's starting to roll out now, and this is where we're at today, and the need for the additional resources.
I stand corrected.
Okay.
Thank you.
Vice Chair.
Okay, thank you for that information, Vice Speaker. The next question I had is during the amount, it's kind of odd, we try to round off the number, but why 966,925? What is the magic number between 966 and 925?
I don't believe that was our request. That came from the legislature.
Came from the legislature or it came from you?
Came from the legislature.
This amount? Okay, I guess we can discuss that when we get on the floor, why it was at 966,925. I guess that I like round off numbers, to give out, so.
Wichi can answer that.
Oh, Wichi can answer it? Okay, yeah. So if you can't answer, Mr. De La Rosa, can we have the people who are online to explain why it's 966,925? Is anybody else can answer that question?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I can try, and I may be speaking out of school, but I'm not sure of the exact amount, but one thing that is important to understand is that you really need to support the student for the entirety of the degree, because you wouldn't want to say fund for the first year and then leave the students hanging. So we do ask that when state or territory is funding the student, that it's for the whole degree, because we assume that they're going to complete and then return home. And then the other piece that I think is important, and perhaps how they got to the number, which again, I didn't calculate it, but the various fields have different support fees and how much it costs to support them, because for instance, an allopathic medical degree is more expensive than pharmacy. So the support fees vary, so I'm not sure exactly what the assumptions were going into the calculation of that number, but what I'm guessing and kind of assuming in how they did that is they were anticipating so many students in certain fields that they were prioritizing, or whether it was the legislature or GCC, they kind of figured out from there, if that helps. But I think it's probably coming down to the various support fees and assuming that it's covering not just 1 year of an educational.
Well, 966,925 came from somewhere. I mean, usually that's round enough. And these are to provide tuitions for individuals seeking, assistance for education. A round off number is something you usually would get because you don't know the cost up front.
if I may, we know
Okay.
the support fee that is
Right.
set 2 fiscal years
Okay.
ahead. We do know that.
So does any of these funding have to deal with any administrative cost? Is any part of the 966,925 have to deal with any administrative costs? Or is 100% of this money going to tuition for these students who qualify?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my understanding, WICHE does not receive any money. I'm not sure how, again, I'm not sure how that number was calculated
Mr.
internally in
Jacobs?
Guam.
Yeah, Mr. Jacobs, maybe you can answer that. Rodney?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was I was on mute. My understanding, and we can get this detailed information, was GCC's office, the Ms. Santos at the office, who's the interface with WICHE, calculated this based on the number of degrees and the support fees from WICHE. My understanding is that there is not a GCC administrative fee in it, but certainly if there is, we certainly can get you that information. And if I can share my screen, I can show you exactly what the support fee is. Well, it doesn't let me share the screen, but Senator, if you went to wiche.edu, tuition savings PSEP, what's a PSEP award worth? It's very detailed as to what the support fee, the annual support fee is, and the number of years for each category under the PSEP. And I'll be happy to share the screen if
Yeah, maybe you can just tell me how much is and how much of this funding, the 966,925, is for support fees, and how much is for tuition? Just very simple.
Yeah, my understanding, it's 100% for support fees.
So it's 100%. The 966,925 is 100% for tuition. It doesn't cover any dues at every year because you're part of WICHE. It doesn't cover administrative costs, nothing like that. It's just strictly all for tuition. Is that correct, Rodney? I just wanted to verify.
Right. The Department of the Interior has funded the WICHE stipend.
Okay.
Sorry, the WICHE membership fee for all of Micronesia, including us.
So again, it is
Yes.
100% for the tuition.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, and Senator, I'm going to double check that, and I will directly inform your office if that is not correct. But that is my understanding.
Well, it's not just for me, but I mean, the listening audience, the people of Guam. This is the people of Guam's money. Which I have another question actually. But they deserve transparency. Exactly how this money is being spent. It's quite substantial. It's almost $1 million that we're giving to this program. When, we have a fiscal note here that, we have tons of other things that we need to appropriate. And if we were to try and appropriate things like for the public safety at $11 million, $300,000, if we tried to cover the gas tax relief at $7.8 million, land survey for Chamorro Land Trust is at $9 million, improving access care for DISIT at $50. You're looking at quite a bit of other areas, that have to deal with Department of Education, a sewer system to be put in place over the aquifer. There are quite a bit of other, areas that need attention to. So it's so important that the information you provide today, the people of Guam see exactly how this body is spending their money. Their money. It's not our money, it's theirs. Which brings me to the other thing, Mr. Chair. I read the bill, and also in the fiscal note, it explains, is this coming from excess revenue, or is this coming from the general fund?
Excess revenue.
Okay, according to the bill, it doesn't say excess revenue, Mr. Chair. I guess maybe an amendment is going to be made that it was bypassed, because the bill clearly states it shall come from the general fund. And when we do that, that means somebody's not going to get their money. You're going to have to take it off to something else that's already been appropriated in order to reach that. So I think, is that the nemesis of it? Appropriation, Section 2? is appropriated from the general fund to the Guam Community College. Mr.
Understood.
Yeah.
The appropriate amendment will be made.
Okay, so I was just wanted to make sure that was the intention of the author of the legislation, is to use excess revenue. And again, the excess revenue that we're showing on the CRER report might show it's kind of healthy at 36 million, but there are quite a bit of other bills that appropriated very important things for education, health care, and safety. And I think the people of Guam deserve to know exactly how we're spending it. So, Mr. Jacob, and you're a good friend, dear friend, and I trust you that you will give this information right away to us. And hopefully we can, on the session floor, be able to reiterate what you provide for us. I've always been an advocate for education and helping our students, especially if, they're going into the field of healthcare. I've always hoped that whatever with this WICHE program, that there's an incentive for those individuals, since it's being paid for by taxpayers' money, that they come back. They come back to Guam and they work on this island. That's my greatest concern. We pay for their education and they never come back. So, yeah, 5 years they have to stay here. And that's the greatest, issue that I think we're all seeing, a brain drain, as our vice chair has mentioned many times, the brain drain. So I greatly appreciate everyone's testimony, and we need to be cautious, as we move forward to ensure that our T's and I's are crossed and dotted, especially when it comes to finance. So thank you, Mr. Chair, for the opportunity, and thank you, everyone who was here to testify.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Lujan, do you have any comments?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much. And thank you, Mr. De La Rosa, and also to the Attorney Jacobs and Ms. Demery for being with us in Zoom this afternoon. Mr. De La Rosa, this program just started, because I was going to ask how many graduates we've had so far, so obviously none, right? So 0, 0, 0.
Yeah, we just stood it up this year.
Okay, so let me ask you, because this is, there's a similar program that's been undertaken, of course, it's way back, the Professional Technical Scholarship out of the University of Guam. Now, my question is, with the, okay, well, let me start off first. The PSEP program, does that only fund professional fields in the line of course, medical and law?
Yes, right now we're focused on just the medical fields.
Just medical field. Yes. Okay, because I know Attorney Jacobs was talking about, the law side,
as well.
And
right.
it's another profession that, of course, a lot of our attorneys are retiring, and from the AG's office to private practice, we are in need, of course, of lawyers on island as well. So right now, your only GCC's focus is only in the health field, right?
Yeah, it's based on the law. We are actually focused on just medical fields.
But it's sounding like you might expand to that as well, based on the need, right? And based on the funding.
Yes, and the law. If we are asked to, of course we will.
Absolutely. So let me get this straight as well, because the Professional Technical Scholarship is undertaken by, of course, by the University of Guam, and the WICHE program, the PSEP program out of the Guam Community College. Now, is this a consortium of universities, of colleges, and then, because I think, if I'm not mistaken, the UOG program is whatever professional or technical school that the student will go, and they qualify for that, that will be funded through there. But this program under the PSEP, undertaken, of course, by WICHE, is that a consortium then of colleges and universities?
Yes, it is a consortium of colleges on the western side of the United States.
Okay.
I'm probably not the best person to answer for
maybe Attorney Jacobs and of course, Ms. Demery, if you're listening.
Sure. Yeah, Senator, good afternoon. Law, the PSEP does not include law. Law is already, the benefit for the tuition discounts at the two law schools I testified about are already available to us with no additional costs. So our students can go to the University of Hawaii for 150% in-state tuition and the University of Idaho for in-state tuition. The other question I believe you ask is what are the other programs in the PSEP?
Yes.
It's allopathic medicine, dentistry, occupational therapy, optometry, osteopathic medicine, pharmacy, physical therapy, physician assistant, podiatry, and
So
veterinary
all
medicine.
health-related entities, right?
Right, and
Yeah,
we
okay.
refer to them
Professions.
as the healthcare degrees, and that's a third bucket of the exchange programs through WICHE. The first two is undergraduate and graduate, which includes law and many, many other graduate degrees.
Okay.
The third one are the healthcare degrees, and it required legislation, which was the legislation that is called the Barada Act. And so this is the funding mechanism for the healthcare degrees that was opened up by the Barada Act.
Okay. Now, let me ask this as well, because now the colleges or universities that the consortium of colleges or universities that are associated with WICHE are only within the western part of the United States. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. You know, I never understood this, but maybe get some clarity in this as well. But would this be applicable? Will WICHE be reaching out, because you know we're here in Guam. A lot of our folks here in Guam seek medical attention in the Philippines, and our insurance companies are able, now that we have one government insurance company, pays for the doctors and medical care that we provide, or that they provide in some institutions in the Philippines. However, a lot of those same doctors that are treating our folks that go over there can't come out here to Guam and practice out here. And so I'm just wondering if at any time soon that maybe we're reaching out to this part of the world and maybe working out something with institutions, medical institutions in the Philippines, because the last I heard, there were no difference between a Filipino anatomy and a Chamorro anatomy. And so I'm just wondering if that, you know, that one day soon, and they're a great ally, the great U.S. ally, and so I'm just wondering if this will just be with U.S. institutions, or again, do we have to say that they have to be AMA, what do you call this, recognized? Because I know that our schools of higher education, GCC and UOG, collaborate with institutions outside of Guam, foreign institutions as well. And we have professors at the University of Guam and GCC that are foreign graduates. And so with that, I'm you know, baffled at times about, you know, the restrictions that we have on medical professionals that come to Guam and able to practice, yet that we're able to pay them to take care of us when we're over there, but are not recognized when they come to Guam. So I'm just wondering if this program may be applicable to maybe not now, but down the line to foreign colleges that will be part of a consortium.
If I may take that question, Mr. Chairman, Senator, the likelihood is not very high on that, and I'll explain why. It really has nothing to do with AMA or the medical profession. Our compact as WICHE, I explained earlier that we were established by the Western governors. We are a legal entity, and the compact which established us talked about states and territories, and so the eligible jurisdictions for participation in WICHE is pretty clearly laid out as states and U.S. Pacific territories and freely associated states. So we really don't have the ability to go into any other type of countries other than those eligible jurisdictions. We're allowed to be in the West, but like you wouldn't even see us go into New Hampshire because our compact is quite clear on where we're able to seek membership. I suppose, and I guess if all the states and Congress approved it, so it's a big hurdle to allow a foreign country that is not one of those jurisdictions to participate, because we are ratified by Congress. I suppose there's a way to do it, but I don't see a real viable path forward for that. I hear you on this. It's very compelling, and I understand your relationship with the Philippines.
we definitely have a unique situation out here, and it's not. And and speaking as
you're not the only ones.
And speaking as a Guam entity,
yeah,
what fits for the 50 states doesn't always really fit right for our territory. And there needs to be at times exemptions made for our territory, because again, we're not. I mean, if everything is applicable, then make me a state. Make us the same. Make us the same as California as everything else. Like we're debating a situation here now to have foreign airlines, so we can have agreements with foreign airlines to come in here, exemption of cabotage. So I'm just saying, and this is maybe not for you, but for our body here as well as in Congress, that again we have to look outside of. I mean, this is a great program. I endorse it 150%. But I also, like I said, we have professors at the University of Guam and GCC that are foreign graduates and great instructors. But maybe it's something that we need to look at and work out something with their government if we're allowed to do so. I mean, we fight alongside with them. They're our great allies in war. The Philippines, Japan, and Korea are great allies. But there's some things we can't allow their planes to come to Guam and go to one other U.S. port destination. So, again, I like parity and fairness at all, and if we can save money as well, because I know it's a lot cheaper it's a lot less costly, in other schools, professional schools. But so it's not to Attorney Jacobs or Ms. Demery. I think it's what my conversation is more amongst us in this House to work with Congress. I know it's a long road to be able to try to get some kind of exemption for this, but it's something that we need to work on. But thank you, Ms. Demery and Attorney Jacobs and of course Mr. De La Rosa. Appreciate being here this afternoon. Thank you, and I'm 150% supportive of this program. It's greatly needed. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Senator Walton. Senator Snickers, do you have anything you wanted to speak about? Any questions?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm very excited to be here. Good afternoon to the colleagues and everybody in attendance. I support this bill. I support it. It's a wonderful thing that we're able to offer this to our, to our students. It brings great value to the community. It's very interesting in how people came together to work together to make this happen, and I'm fully in support of it. There's funding for it. Let's do it. Let's get these guys trained so they can come home and serve our island. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. And for my colleagues, the breakdown of the 966,000 is 966,925 is being printed, and we'll provide a copy to all my colleagues. But with that, they're being
Senator, this Rod Jacob again. May I just jump in real quick because I also did get a communication about the amount of funding to give Senator Taitigui some assurance that there is no administrative amount of that money going to GCC. It does not come to WICHE.
Understood.
It's all for scholarships, and I'm glad that the details will be passed out shortly.
Yes, that's surely noted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If I may, I just wanted to comment. Thank you, Rodney. I received the documents, and we were able to look at it, and the breakdown is very simple, Mr. Chair. It goes through every category of professionalism, like dentistry, medicine, occupational therapy, optometry, further down physical therapy, physical assistant, and it goes down, and it's a 4-year program in some circumstances. Well, actually, these are all staying 4 years, so I do see it, and I thank you, Rodney, for providing this to us, and it is 100% going straight to tuition. That's important. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, and thank you. And there being no one else to present testimony on this bill, this hearing is now concluded. I would like to thank everyone for attending the hearing and providing feedback and suggestions. Bill 284-37 LS public hearing is now adjourned. The time now is 3:15. Jesus Masi, thank you very much. We will now proceed to the next bill, bill number 331-37. And I'd ask the folks from the Department of Parks and Recs to please come forward to the panel. Director Sablan, Joey, Terlai, Peter, we've got Lawrence Osborne, okay? Come. Okay. Morin Pelletier? Okay, the three of you only are going to testify, correct? Okay. Before we begin, I'm just going to read the rules so we'll be reminded how we conduct business here. That's all I'm going to read, okay? Please provide my limited staff with any document for photocopying and distribution. Panel members are asked to remain in the room for question or additional testimony as may be desired by members of the committee. Questions and testimony shall be confined to the substance or nature of the agenda. Personal inference as to the character or the motive of any senator or any individual testimony is not permitted. Any violation of this general rule of conduct will result in removal from the public hearing. Proper form decorum shall be practiced by all present in the public hearing room for this proceedings. Individuals who fail to maintain proper form decorum will be restricted from participating and will be escorted from the room. When you speak, please make sure that the microphone is on, that you speak into the microphone. You will state your name and your title for the record. With that, I will now give my opening statement for this bill, 331-37. Bill 331-37 COR is not just a financial allocation, it is a commitment to the well-being and safety of our residents and visitors alike. Additionally, a portion of these funds will be dedicated to equipping our Park Patrol Division with essential tools to ensure public safety. Guam's parks, recreation areas, and beaches are not mere amenities. They are integral to the island's cultural fabric and prosperity of our economy. They provide spaces for recreation, relaxation, and community gatherings. These areas are a significant part of what makes Guam a vibrant and attractive place to live and visit. However, to preserve their beauty and functionality, ongoing investment is essential. Over time, we know that the environmental factors and increased use can take a toll on the area. To address these challenges, we must ensure that our parks and recreation facilities are well equipped and adequately maintained. An example of what this may look like is that Ipao Park Pavilions, with their newly lit streets lights providing more reassurance to our people that they are safe to go about these public areas even at night. Moreover, our Park Patrol Division plays a crucial role in safeguarding these spaces. They help to maintain order, respond to emergencies, and ensure that our parks remain a secure and welcoming and safe environment. Investing in their equipment and resources is an investment in safety and security of our public areas. This bill is part of our commitment to enhancing the quality of life for our community and supporting our tourism industry. This appropriation symbolizes our dedication to preserving the natural beauty of Guam and ensuring a safe and enjoyable environment for all. I urge all callers to support this bill and join me as we make a meaningful investment in the future of our island. And also all my colleagues were provided a copy of a breakdown of all the equipment that will pretty much get very close to exactly $5 million. That's what the bill is about. And unfortunately, in the past, Department of Parks and Rec never really got the attention it should have gotten. Now this is a shot. This is a shot in the dark, a shot in giving them the opportunity to stand up. And when everybody wants to complain, why is the park dirty? Well, the Parks and Rec folks didn't have the equipment to remove the trash. Now they got a chance to clean up. And I expect that the funding that's going to be provided will ensure that at least for the next 2-3 years, they're ready to go. And then in the future, then we'll take a look at what their funding requirements are, and we start promoting that. And with that, and ask the panel, begin with the director and his deputy director and the chief patrol officer to make their testimony. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Senator San Agustin, and thank you, all of you senators, for being here. I see that all 5 of you that are in front of me are co-sponsors of this bill, so now I'm going to ask Senator Tello Taitagui if she can kindly join and be a co-sponsor of this bill as well. But your opening testimony, I am Angel Sublan, the Acting Director of the Department of Parks and Recreation. Senator San Agustin, your opening testimony says it all. I don't think we have to say anything anymore. You said it all. And if DPR has not been attended to in years past, well, now they have an angel. And the amount of money, this appropriation, certainly should have been done a long time ago. You can see now, we are one team DPR. We're working together to make sure that we do with what we have. And what we have now, we're doing miracles in our parks, in our recreation facilities, in our police division, in our SHPO. We're making things happen. And this appropriation will certainly go a long ways to making more things happen. You see the breakdown in front of you. Those are all justified costs. But whatever does not meet up to the $5 million, let me just tell you that there are other things that we would like to have done. There's parks that are out of sight, out of mind. And I'm talking about parks like up in Liguan, in between the neighborhoods that nobody has taken care of. They're becoming just abandoned vehicle or chop shops. We have parks in Jigo that nobody even knows they're there. We have parks in Pagat. Besides the park trails, there's parks in Pagas that people on Guam don't even know that they're there. And so we're going to use some of these funds to make sure that whatever's left over with that $5 million, that we would do what we can to spend it there. We have one thing that I'd like to do, and this comes up every liberation, and hopefully we can do it, is to do a Manengan Trail. From wherever our ancestors and our forefathers and our grandmothers and grandfathers and brothers and sisters, fathers and mothers started their long journey to Manengan, whether it be from Asen, whether it be from Dededo, wherever on Guam. We want to blaze a trail that some of us who have never experienced that war can walk that trail to Manengan. And every time I mention this, people just get goosebumps, because when they realize that here they are walking a trail that 80 years ago, their relatives or their families walked, for them to just imagine that trail. They wouldn't suffer today walking there, but they can relive the memories of those that have gone. And I'd like to make that happen, maybe before the 81st celebration of our liberation. And part of this $5 million can go there. Part of the funds can also go to insurance costs. As you know, we do have money from FEMA to repair some of our parks and recreational facilities. But this is it. If we don't insure those facilities or those, whatever it is that FEMA repairs, the next typhoon or the next disaster that comes along, and that same facility or park gets destroyed, we cannot count on FEMA again to pay for those. So we're looking at trying to insure all these facilities. Maintenance is a big cost. Every Friday, our employees do maintenance on whatever rinky-dink bush cutter they still have, or lawnmowers, or blowers, even our vehicles, because if we don't get them maintained, they're not going to work on Monday. And you know what? I feel so sorry for our employees, our deputy, the chief of park police, SHPO, recreation. They have taken out of their own pockets to fund some of the needs to maintain some of our facilities. They've got receipts, but they don't even want to submit the receipts because it's the love they have for their work that they do this. We install a shower head today. Tomorrow, that shower head is gone. We fix a water pipe today. Tomorrow, somebody cuts it because they want to take a shower. We do all these things, but we don't have backup. We don't have backup maintenance supplies to continue to do these things. We like to have, from this money, at least be able to warehouse some of these things that we need on a daily basis. These little things add up to a big cost. When you have a broken pipe every other day, when you have shower stalls taken, I don't know for what reason, it adds up every day. When we have broken lawnmowers or equipment, when we don't have gas or fuel because we don't have the funding for it. And you all know that DPR has long been underfunded. And these employees have long been providing their own money out of their pockets. Even when I first got on, I took out of my pocket because there was no PO to be had to get any of these things, or else the tourist ain't going to shower, or else the resident who goes to barbecue can't wash their hands, or they can't even use the toilet. Because you know what? Not only do they destroy the toilet, they take the stuff with them. I don't know what for. But that's all changing, especially now at the Governor Joseph Flores Park, EPAL. We've lit up the entire park if you haven't been there lately. So now there's less vandalism. Now there's less romantic stuff. There's less of everything because it's lit up. And we've actually extended the hours of EPAL. We used to close at 5. Now we extended it to 9 so that people can enjoy. Come and exercise, come walk around, come and still enjoy with your families without worrying about somebody hiding behind a wall, without worrying about somebody coming up and trying to do something to you. Come down and take a look. Come down and take a walk around Paseo Stadium. Now you can walk around and you can see who's in front of you, who's behind you, who's on the side of you. Because again, too, it's lit up. And we like to give our thanks to Guam Visitors Bureau for working with us to make sure that these places are lit. And with solar lights, so it doesn't cost us a penny after it's purchased for utility costs, because they're on at sundown and are off at sunrise. And we're trying to do that with all our other parks. We're trying to do that at the Harmon Complex. Soon we're going to be lighting the walking trail there too. We like to work on the tennis courts. Our tennis courts were built a long, long time ago. But you know what? I don't know what engineer did it, but there was never a provision to put a restroom in any of these tennis courts. So now Mr. Enrique Ninete, whose courts are named after him, has been crying almost daily. You ask the deputy, every day he would come in and say, I'm tired of walking to the Agana Shopping Center just so I can use the restroom. Can you please put a restroom at the Enrique Ninete Tennis Court? And we're going to do that. We're going to build the Hagåtña Pool. And part of the plans that we put into Hagåtña Pool is put a restroom there right on the corner so that it can be utilized by the users of the Enrique Ninete Tennis Court. One thing I'd like to bring up too, to use some of this money, is the Tiguac Cemetery, the Limtiaco Cemetery. If you do not know, we have probably less than 100 burials that we can still do there. And it's used by our public. 100 burials will probably take us maybe 6, 8 months. So we've got to move. We're already having the property surveyed, so it would allow us to identify that one big whole lot, called Tiguac, to install or build crypts for cemetery use. We can't put in the ground anymore further down the hill because that's all backfill. But if we can use it, some of these funds to construct these crypts, we'll be able to extend the lifetime of the Limtiaco Cemetery, the Tiguac Cemetery. We'd also like to let you know that part of the listing that the deputy is going to tell you about equipment is that's because we borrow all the time. We borrow from Public Works. We borrow from the Veteran Cemetery. We even borrow from the mayor's offices equipment that they have to help us do our job. Part of this money can also be to identify a venue if the Gigo Sports Raceway is not going to open up anytime soon. We need to identify a venue where our car enthusiasts can really come out and display their passion and their love for their vehicles. We have it every month. We've dedicated the end of every month to an organization to come down and use the Paseo parking lot to do just this. Only that there is no drag racing, there's no burnouts, there's no nothing except just display your vehicles and let people walk around. And not only that, if ever we're going to have a concert, we don't have a place for it anymore. As you know, the Paseo Stadium or Guerrero Field cannot be used for that purpose anymore. So where do we go? You know, where do our young people who really want to be able to see these great musicians or great acts come to Guam? They can't come to Guam because there's no place for them to go. If we could get some part of this $5 million, then maybe we can identify an additional lot that we have at the Harmon Complex and set that aside for things like this, for concerts and other events. We have the southern area DPR property that you are probably aware of that has not been used. It's supposed to be for motorbike off-roading, but the property has not been developed. And that's because there's no money for it. We've even tried to do a deal with Chamorro Land Trust where we'll give them that property in the south and give us a piece of the property at the sports complex so that we can use it for the drag racing and the car enthusiasts. I don't know how far that's going to go, but certainly that's an option that we've placed on the table. We know that there's a ribbon cutting or a groundbreaking for the Southern Sports Complex, actually this week, where the Guam Football Association are going to finally get on the move to start that complex. And that certainly would go a long ways towards enhancing not just our recreational facilities, but our parks as well. So this $5 million will certainly go a long ways to helping us all. There's more requests to us for skate parks. It's becoming a very, very popular sport. Pickleball, becoming very, very popular. So we need to be able to respond to these types of requests from our residents. Because if they don't have a place to go, how can we reach the Olympics with more athletes if we don't have the facilities to make our athletes practice in, exercise in, compete in? I'm even thinking, and I haven't mentioned to the deputy, that we've got an Olympic-size swimming pool that's just sitting at Southern High, that's been rotting away for years. I don't think it's going to cost millions and millions of dollars to put it back into operation. We've got the Hagåtña pool that's already at 100% designed, completed. We're just waiting for them to package the thing together so we can have DPW put it out on bid. The money for that is already available. The over $5 million allotted for the Hagåtña swimming pool is there. So we're just waiting for that package to be put together, completed, so we can put it out. And it can't come a day too soon. We're hoping that it's going to come out this month, if it possibly can. Like I said, the deputy has the listing of the breakdown of what it is that we would like to use some of this money for. I just gave you some of this that's not on that list. And our chief of park police would also justify the need for, and the park police, let me tell you, is a rising star in the Department of Parks and Recreation. They've become a go-to police division by the other law enforcement agencies. Our park police train their law enforcement. Our park police assist them where they are needed. And maybe one of the jurisdictional changes you may make in the future law is to amend the law to allow our park police to be able to have jurisdiction not just at the parks, but at least on the roads leading to the parks. Because right now, if something, let's say that accident happened in Barrigada Heights, even if the park police came, they don't have jurisdiction because it's out of their jurisdiction. The law says parks and recreational facilities. So maybe that's an amendment that we can look into, is to see how we can. I'm sure my chief, you're going to say, don't give me more work, but his passion and the passion of his officers is that wherever a crime exists or wherever a problem exists, whether it's their jurisdiction or not, they're going to go there and help and assist. And so with that, I'm just very thankful and hopeful that this piece of legislation will certainly pass. I know we're in competition with other departments and agencies for the same pot of money, but if you believe, like what our appropriations chair just stated, if you believe in what he just said and you believe in what I just mentioned, then I'm hopeful that this appropriation bill will go through. And I'll tell you, we will not let you down. We will spend the money for what you intended it for. And with that, I'd like to just ask our deputy to go ahead and continue with his testimony.
Thank you. My name is Warren Pelletier. I'm the Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation. Thank you, Senators, for allowing us this opportunity to speak on behalf of this bill that would allow Department of Parks and Recreation the ability to effectively and efficiently do what's needed to maintain our parks. One of the first tasks I had in coming on board was to visit each and every park. And in doing so, I noticed a serious lack of preventive maintenance that's taken place over 20-some years. Everything was dilapidated, broken down, and in my 38 years of experience in the business sector and dealing with the ocean, it was sad to see it in that condition. So for you, Senator, to put this to and the other senators to jump on board and support it, just to get us the basic necessities and equipment and supplies to effectively and efficiently provide our parks to get repaired, to be maintained, so that even your grandkids, your children, everybody of your family that sends your kids to parks after school, to participate in so many different sporting events, we can be proud to say that they have a park that they went to that's properly maintained and taken care of. This is a monumental task, like the director said. It's going to be a monumental task for us. But we got to start somewhere. And by having this equipment that will allow us the ability to do what's needed to maintain them and get them up to par. One of the things that really bothers me every time I meet people around, and I know a lot of people in Guam, is when they return back from traveling. And the first thing they say is, well, I was at this park, I was at this park, and man, the parks are, if only the parks can be like that here. I'm part of the baseball community, football community, and when they go off island to participate and come back, it's something that sticks in me day in and day out, and it's my goal. I'm giving back now to the people of Guam, and one of the things we started, the director started, and also with Jack Hattick, former deputy director, is we are one DPR. Try to change the mindset of the people that these are your parks, not ours. We try to maintain as best we can with what little we have, so please help us help you in taking care of the parks. They're your parks. And to respect them. That's all we ask, respect them. We can't keep up with the amount of graffiti, the vandalism, the theft, the homeless, the encampments. I mean, everything that happens in a day in and day out. In my coming over to DPR, I realized that I work harder than I've ever have. And that's a fact. And the director has seen it too. He sees it firsthand by coming on board. We don't get days off. When everybody's off, from Monday to Friday, we are on. So we're working not only Monday to Friday, but when everybody's off, we're getting texts and complaints and you name it, we're out there working on Saturdays and Sundays and late at night, people stuck in the bathroom, locked in bathrooms. I don't know how they get locked in bathrooms, but these are just some of the stuff we have to deal with. So 2 weeks ago when you gave us the good news that, you know, there might be an opportunity that you're putting a bill together to help us get to this level, all we can do is promise that we can do it if we're provided the equipment. But once we get this equipment, sir, let me tell you, senators, we will make every effort to make these parks beautiful again. And we need the support. In addition to this, would be manpower. I mean, the other part of the equation is manpower. We need the manpower. But then again, every agency is having the same problem we are with trying to find good workers. So we understand that part. But one of the tasks the director had mentioned to me is that you had contacted him and said, we need a list now. And I said, okay, I'll get it together, but no, we need it tonight. So I prepared it, I sent it to you, Senator, and you gave me an earful after that. And so we narrowed it down to the equipment that is badly needed and for DPR. And I want to say that I do have experience in this field. I owned an equipment rental company for a number of years. And like I said, I've been in the tourism industry and business for 38 years before coming on board, and I love what I do. I love giving back. I love my island, and I just want the people to know, have my passion in maintaining the parks as it should be. I mean, love your parks. So I created this list here, and there is some additional items we'd like to put on it to make us whole. And I believe with this, sir, and the manpower later on, I believe we can provide a product that tourists, our visitors, our former residents of Guam, the locals that come and go, our military, and everybody that comes to Guam will say, hey, you know, it's really nice there, you know, and they love the parks. One thing I wanted to bring up, the director bring light to is when there's postings, there's a lot of times social media can have a good effect and a bad effect, and it always seems to be a bad effect on DPR when they post photos and they have statements that are very hurtful when sometimes those parks are not even our parks. You know, like Skinner Plaza, Plaza de Explana, you know, I mean, and then also the basketball court in Santa Rita or the swimming pool at the high school down south, Southern High School. People don't realize those are not part of DPR's inventory, but yet we take the brunt of it and we try to help. We reached out to Santa Rita and we work with them to try to fix up the facility there. The one last topic before we move on to the listing is our dire need to address this Tiguac Cemetery. There is an adjacent property, a lot that we've been working with the Department of Land Management to get it transferred over and to increase the size that would give us 6 to 8 years of additional space to have continued burials there. And then also we need to develop the area to also include crypts, so that gives us the opportunity to look for a secondary site in the future. But so I needed to bring that up because we're in a crucial time right now, and so we wanted to bring that to your attention. With that, I'm ready to discuss the listing based on what I've provided. I want to say that I met with every one of the departments at Parks and Recreation, including SHPO, and we went over and hashed out what the needs that they needed, and they're included in there, every agency, including the Park Police. So with the... Okay, all righty. So with that, I'm ready to go. Any questions? I'd like to also have Chief Joey Tolahi also present his statement with regards to Park Police.
Mr. Pelletier, just because one of my colleagues needs to leave early, I'd like to yield to the Vice Chair, if I may,
Sure.
so that she can say a few comments or questions before she has to go to an appointment. Vice Chair,
You're going to
you may
co-sponsor?
proceed.
No, that's inappropriate to ask me to co-sponsor something like this. $5 million is not small amount. Thank you, Madam Vice Speaker, for allowing me, because I do have an appointment at 4 o'clock I have to get to. But and the only thing really I have on this with regards to the list, I don't know if the people at Guam would see this, but there's like 6 pages of this. All these equipment. It's almost like you can fund 2 Department of Parks and Recs based on that. It makes me wonder, where's your inventory list that you currently have? I mean, I'd like to see that. I'm not going to really, hound too much on that because I have to go, but I'd like to see your inventory list, your current inventory list now, because this, when you say basic necessities, you're asking for things like buttercup pails, terracotta. You're asking for things like spray painter. You're asking for, certain things here like bullhorns for lifeguards. It's important. That's a safety thing. You're asking for 6. Are you saying you have no bullhorns? So it's make me wonder what your current inventory is. What I like to know, okay, as we move forward. Also, You know, I went through the whole list of other areas that really need assistance, but the last question I have is, did you request for any of this on your budget?
It's not specified in the budget, it's just
But you
equipment.
have requested your budget, is some of the equipment that you're requesting here, how much of that money that?
I don't have the exact budget in front of me right now, but I can give you that
So
information.
okay, now, I know you haven't been there too long over at Parks and Rec, Angel, so did you require, or did you submit to our chair a supplemental budget at all?
No, I did. The budget
Okay.
actually was prepared before I even came.
Before you came, that's
Right.
why I was asking, since you're doing inventory listing, you're doing all the stuff that you would request for that. So I'd like to know money amount, how much, all this pages and pages of, and I'm sorry, but it's not basic necessities. There's some really things in here that I don't consider basic necessities, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages, 7, right? 2, 4, 6, yeah, 6 pages. I'd like to know what amount of money is in your budget that covers some of this stuff here that you're requesting for. $5 million is the request. So I'd like to know that, okay, if you can send it to our chair so we can know what's the difference, what we're really funding for. But that's all I have, you know, at this point.
So Senator, I thank you for the questions. We will provide you the inventory, the current inventory. The budget that we operate on is the same budget going back 3 years, so nothing's
No,
really
that's not my
changed.
question. My question is, I want to know how much
Correct.
that you put in your budget that's covering some of these items here that you requested for. That's all. Just give me a
We'll get
money
that
amount.
we'll get that to you.
Okay?
We
Okay,
will,
thank you.
Thank you.
Joey,
And that
then
buttercup-
I'll catch you later, Joey.
And Senator,
Yeah.
that buttercup and terracotta is not dessert. That's paint that we
That's-
paint our facilities. That's the color scheme.
Yeah, and we want to just make sure we have an ample supply for a year-round supply of paints.
Yeah,
so that we
several
don't-
benches
'cause
that
the
are
procurement-
outside the administration, several, if you
Yeah.
go down this list, there's quite a bit in there that are questionable, so it would help us just to know what your current inventory is.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank
Thank
you,
you,
Mr.
sir.
Chair,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for allowing
All
me,
right.
I do have an appointment. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I want to make it very clear to the listening audience. Number one, I go to all the parks every day. I run into the director, and I run into the police, I run to the deputy director. And part of the groups I'm part of visits all the parks. And coincidentally, several events that I went to, I asked the director, I asked you, the deputy, how festive? Why does it look like this? And all I ever hear is, because we need money so we can cut the grass, we need money so we can trim the tree, and so forth and so forth. So in the listing you provided is great. I have, how many, 7, 8 people that are co-sponsors of this bill? Everybody has an opinion of what's essential, what's not essential. For me, what you listed is essential. And if we had followed the listing as provided, it identified the areas that are of concern. And if you look at the bill, you mentioned, Director Solange, that if you can do the trail, what a beauty when they say there's a hiking area that can take people up to where the people of Guam walked 80 years ago. We're going to have our own people doing that because why? They want to feel what they know their parents or grandparents went through. And if that's not considered essential, ay, por favor, Fatman Malta sa taspipe la lata. We're looking for helping our people of Guam to take advantage of the parks. And I didn't expect myself to say all this stuff, but number one, if I go to the parks, and I know, Director Swan, you know there's a park in Dedadu that a good friend of mine adopted the park, and I helped clean that park. And it's got a tennis court in the back. And that was supposedly given to the Dedadu, but nobody ever cleans it until my good friend Tom Tahaji started cleaning it. And I joined him in cleaning it. And there's other parks, the one you mentioned in Jigo, that takes you to the Japanese Memorial. My office were the first to cut the grass there. It's got a nice playground. but you can't see it. And there are many other parks, I know that, on the island. But unfortunately, I can't keep chasing it. But the Department of Parks and Recs can. And with this listing, and with my colleagues here that want to help, because for the many years, we're not just going to talk about 4 or 5 years, we're talking 10, 20 years. Department of Parks and Rec has never had any additional funding. And it just happened to tip the iceberg that we can list what they listed on the funding requirements. Yeah, we need money for everything. Yeah, we do. We need money for everything. But that's the appropriation guy, and with my colleagues believe that Department of Parks and Rec happens to reach the point of urgency. And who goes to the parks? Our own people. And our tourists, right now it's our people. You go to Ipoh, how many tourism do you see? Maybe 10, 20. How many of our own people see? Maybe 30, 40. Who's walking the parks? Our people. Everywhere we go, it's our people. Even though I said it's to help the tourism, until the tourism starts growing, it's our people that's going to benefit. And I'm not going to sit around and allow our people to not be able to go to a park. And if I can help, I will help. And if you notice in the bill, it talks $5 million. The listing says 4.1. Director, if we can get this bill passed, you got $5 million. You use it for what you believe you need to. In addition, to as much as you can. Because I know for a fact when you go out there, because the deputy director is familiar with equipment, you can probably get one equipment or two equipment for the price of one. Because the deals are out there. There's no doubt about it. And then for the park patrol, as a former police officer, but for both, you need to be equipped. And if you believe, in addition to your equipment, that you need to put cameras, then put the camera up so that you don't have to run your people all over the place. But that'll be on the director. Because the bill does not aim at this listing. It backs this listing. But it gives you a lump sum to do the best you can because you have a starting point. You got a listing. You just do what you need to do. And with that, I'd ask, Chief, are you going to speak about something? If not, I'll ask my colleagues to speak.
Yes, Senator, yes, just really quick, nagasabisangan na udangklo na si Jesus Masi para todos samtu para esta oportunidad. Thank you very much for the five of you. And I'd like to mention Senator Lujan, Senator Canata, Senator San Agustin, Senator Tina, Senator San Nicolas, Jesus Masi para esta na oportunidad talu. Let me just say, Senators, the director and the deputy director and all of our division heads and our personnel, we sat down with this list, going through the list, and let me just tell you, we were very kind, we were very conservative. We thought about the other agencies. We weren't greedy. This is little, and we're asking, like you mentioned in your introduction, Senator San Agustin, 20 years, abandona Department of Parks and Rec. We've been hurting for a very long time. And excuse us for sitting here before all of you and kind of like venting. So our people, this is not just for us, this is for our people. And again, my name is Joey Terlahi, and I am the Park Police Superintendent, and I support Bill number 331-37 COR. Senator San Agustin, un menciona earlier in your introduction, not only our parks are special places and natural beauty, but they are vibrant community hubs that attract hundreds of visitors each day. With this influx of people, it is paramount that we have the necessary resources to ensure a safe and secure environment for all. Unfortunately, our current funding levels are not adequate to meet the growing demands placed on our park police force, more specifically. We face numerous challenges in our daily operations, including understaffing, limited resources, and outdated equipment. These constraints hinder our ability to respond swiftly to emergencies, enforce regulations effectively, and maintain a visible presence that deters criminal activity. Without adequate funding, we risk compromising the safety and our well-being of our visitors and our people. Investing in our park police force is an investment in the well-being of our community, By bolstering our daily operation, we can enhance our ability to prevent vandalism and ensure that our parks remain safe and welcoming spaces for all. Additionally, increased funding will enable us to provide better training for our officers, acquire modern equipment, and implement new technologies to improve our response times and our communication. Therefore, I sit here before each and every one of you, again, humbly asking for your most favorable support. Earlier, there was mention about basic necessities. I mentioned earlier that we were kind in our requests. If we go any more below than what we're requesting as a department, we compromise the safety and security not only for our visitors, but for our people. Lessons learned, and I don't need to mention, we look back the tragic incidents that happened not only within our parks, but within our island. A lot of it could have been preventable if the support was given. And therefore, I close with that. I humbly ask again for all of your support, and I thank each and every one of you for allowing us to come before you today. Jesus Masi.
Thank you, Superintendent. I'd like to also make sure, because also the other partners, the colleagues that have joined also this bill is Senator William Parkinson, Amanda Shelton, and Senator Chris Duenas, in addition to the folks that are here.
Okay.
So we got eight senators that are supporting this. So I'm hoping to push it through, and then we'll take care of it. Madam Vice, do you have any questions or comments you want to present?
I do have comments and one question. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving me the opportunity, but more importantly, thank you for clarifying the need and the proposal that's in front of us as it relates to the resources needed for the Department of Parks and Recs. I want to say, Mr. Chair, that before I ask my question, just alone, based on the 42 years that I've been working for the government of Guam, Department of Parks and Recs used to have a staff of over 400 people. Can you verify that? Over 400 people. How many employees do we have today at Department of Parks and Recreation? 10% of that, sir. That's number one. 40 employees.
And may I add, most of them are from DOL, displaced workers.
As displaced.
So if we lose them, we're going to be displaced as well.
And Mr. Chair, that brings a lot of importance. Just recently, based on trying to re-synergize, regroup, and bring back the parks to its viability, our colleague, the late Peter Terlahi, introduced legislation for the park police and to help out with their efforts with the Guam Police Department and other law enforcement, so that we can have the opportunity for all our parks that are under the commission of the government of Guam to be at least secured and safeguarded. That's one. Over 78 parks, and I could be wrong, I used to be the former oversight chair of parks. Are we doing more than 78 parks and recreation, 78 parks plus the recreation? What are the total numbers right now? Because I do know that through legislation, even by me, that we've given some of those facilities away to the mayor. So how many parks and recreation facilities are we at right now?
We are still over 60.
Over
Senator,
60.
in fact, just today, we have adoptees for our southern parks, the Inalahan Pool and Surfside, the Humatak Vietnam's Memorial, Cesar Bay and Seti Bay and Fort Santiago, and in Hagat, Nimitz Beach Park. We just signed off with them this morning. So they're going to be taking jurisdiction of those parks, and they've done a wonderful job, those three mayors, in making sure that they maintain and beautify those parks. You go to those parks at any time now, and you see the beauty of it. So we just signed off 3 parks today.
And I'm going to share with you, to the panel that's here and to Mr. Chair, that literally having that support and partnerships with the mayors who will also work 24/7. Department of Parks and Recs, like they said, is also 24/7 because their parks, the recreational facilities, the programs that they hold, the working with the SHPO, working with all the preservation of our historic places and just even of our remains that need to be reinterred and all that. We continue to work with that. I really was going to keep it simple and saying, you know what, I'm glad with the recent graduation of the park police and helping out with the airport and other law enforcement agencies, that I see that we have two fine officers with Chief Terlahi and I'm going to go ahead and Major Osborne, right?
Colonel.
Colonel, yeah. And I want to say that, you know, I was going to ask, with now the program being beefed up, is there a commitment from the park police that we will protect and safeguard all these different parks and facilities from the vandals, from the destruction, from the graffiti, from that? Because I'm telling you, this has a multiplier effect with our tourist industry, with our community, with our athletes. You talked about the car enthusiasts that we need to look for. If we don't have a place for them, we are going to go back to where we were decades ago when we were having illegal drag racing, illegal events that we tried so many years to fix, so that there would be a place for them to go home. That's one. Two, the parts that you guys fix and the vandalism that goes on and the destruction that goes on, you can fix the shower heads, and then 1 hour later, the equipment, the shower heads are broken, the pipes are literally mangled apart, and we can pick up trash. And the senators up here, we all take part with working with you guys to clean a lot of these parks and these recreation facilities. But I want to ask about the safety. Will there be a commitment? Is there also a need? I look at the equipment aside, but I need to also ask about the human capital that's needed so that there are enough folks to be able to protect
Senator,
these
to answer,
facilities.
we are 100, not only, we are 100 committed to making sure that our parks are beautiful again, and that's not only with the park police, but our whole department. Just this morning, or the whole day today, we are conducting interviews to recruit more park police officers, and that's again thank you to all of you and the support from the governor again and the lieutenant governor. Our goal at the end of the year is to at least get 40 police officers, park police officers on board. 40. We want 40. We have 28 on board, including our park police reserve officers. So from last year, when I got on board, we only have 4 police officers as of April 19 last year. Today, we have 28.
Is that including the reserves?
Correct, Senator.
But what about without the reserves? How many do we have?
There's 8 of us.
Only 8?
Full-time.
For the whole island of Guam?
Correct. By the end of the month, we should have 12 full-time officers.
And Mr. Chair, I bring this to light again, knowing in the years, over the 4 decades that we've been here, and seeing the re-synergy coming from the director and the deputy director working with the administration, what we need to do to bring these parks back to full re-synergizing, and seeing the people there. I was there for the Antolon reunion last Sunday, and every pavilion was utilized. For the last 3 or 4 weeks, the Filipino community has been using the main pavilion for not just their religious activities and cultural activities, but all the other activities that they could bring the community, the Filipino community, into a safe area to enjoy and celebrate, you know, their cultural beliefs, their religious beliefs. I mean, there was a patron saint fiesta. There was exercise going on. There was barbecues. There were like 3 or 4 reunions there, just last Sunday, there was a car show, and you know, the car enthusiasts with their nice, beat cars, I mean, you know, really, really nice and fancy, cars that were there, and really something that could be an attraction even for those we can start something for those who want to come here internationally to be included into those car shows or to those events that happen in that area. But I know it needs equipment, I know it needs manpower, and I know it needs the support from us. So as you are very conservative, Mr. Chair, on these numbers, I am hoping, and I'm going to ask you this, Mr. Chair, are there any other resources that we have not tapped into, whether it be STEM grants, whether it be other federal grants that we can look at, OIA, just anything out there that we can, community grants? Have you tapped into any or all of those nonprofit organizations that give back to the community, like the Rotary clubs? Have you tapped into any of those? We are actively looking into grants. We're working with the Congressman's office. Our Chief of Police is working with the Clearinghouse, and our Deputy Director is going through the listing of whatever available grants there are for parks that we can apply for. So yes, we are actively looking at. In fact, we've assigned one of our own employees to spend, a couple of hours a week with Clearinghouse, just to make sure that if there's any grant opportunities out there, that we apply for it. What about the Adopt a Park program and having the nonprofit organizations, like I said, the Rotary clubs, the Lions clubs, and all that used to help us decades ago? Are there still programs existing like that today? Yeah. Yes, we do have an active Adopt a Park program. Like I said, we just signed off 3 this morning. We had Community First adopt Serena Park. We have the Lions Club that's still up there in Dededo. We have a whole bunch of groups, not just organizations, but even individuals that want to bring their families to adopt a little pavilion at EPAL. And we're allowing them to, they want to come and just paint it. And so we are, yes, we do have an active Adopt the Park program. We just have to keep on top of them to make sure that whatever they sign for, that they will do, that they do. So, you know, it's just a monitoring on our part to make sure that they don't just adopt it for the name and then just leave everything else to us. We make sure that if they say they're going to paint it, they're going to cut the grass, they're going to take out the trash, that they will do it. So this request that the chair has introduced and all of us have jumped on is just seed money to at least bring back the parks to where it needs to be today. And then we need to continue to get more resources for the human capital that's needed to support the safety and the security of the parks and recreational facilities, and then to maintain it also. But you're also taking the time to work with the nonprofit organizations and the community at large and the mayors to be able to utilize all these parks and recreational facilities. Am I saying this correctly? Yes, you are, Senator. You know, like I said, we have 60 parks, but we also, in addition to that, we have 175 historical monuments that we're responsible for. And so we need to work on those too. We have reburials that we need to start scheduling so we can put our ancestors' bones back in the ground. We have over 3,000 bones and fragments that are sitting over at the Guam Museum that we need to properly make them rest in peace. And talking about equipment, we do trash hauls every single day. But what do we have? Just a pickup truck. We're asking there for at least a small, what do you call that?
Packer truck.
Packer truck, so that our guys don't have a backache or whatever picking up, you know. We also have, when we bury somebody at Tijuac, if we don't have Veteran Cemetery giving us to borrow their backhoe, we would have to reschedule the burial because we don't have a backhoe.
Senators, that's why we put in the list, there's backhoe for the cemetery that's dedicated just for the cemetery, and then one would be dedicated to the many parks and monument trails that we need to start developing so that the people can get out to these areas. One of the other things you brought up with this, with the park police, is we'd like to also include here with the CCTV monitoring of the parks. There's a challenge with that only because we are not, as an agency, we're not allowed to have Wi-Fi. And that is one of the biggest holdbacks for us. I mean, if we can record things, but then we'd have to go out there, retrieve the SD card and then print it. So, I mean, if we had Wi-Fi or connectivity to these parks, we can definitely have a CCTV systems in place to monitor and have a monitoring area with many monitors and monitor it on a 24-hour basis. But there's a lot of roadblocks in place for us. So, I mean, we'd love to put it in the, and that's, I didn't include it in this, but it's something that needs to be included.
Include it in that, do an addendum to this, because as you said earlier, which was really alarming to me, Mr. Chair, was the need to the extent the capability for the Tigua Limit Cemetery, because you said there was only 100 lots left?
Yeah, we're looking at about 5 to 6 months. We're working with the Department of Land Management now. There's a adjacent lot that we had confirmed that we can include it into the Tigua property, but that's going to have to go to the legislature.
Right.
And we need to really address this very fast.
So, Mr. Chair, we need, there's 3 action item bills that we can work on right away is regarding the Tigua adjacent property that needs to be done, the resources for the human capital that needs to have more officers come and help protect. We need more manpower for the parks, because we used to have a 400-some employees for Parks and Recs, and now we have 40. That includes the ones that the Department of Labor has with working with you guys. So as I look at that, Mr. Chair, I'm saying, like, what more can we do to help? And this is a start. So I'm in full support of this effort. I'm thinking that if there's any other grant that is out there, community grant, federal grant, national grants, all those things that can be looked at, please let us know that you're looking at it and name it, so that we at least know that you're trying. So we have legislation that is introduced, we can justify the need for wanting more resources to you guys.
Senators, may I add another thing? When you asked about how many employees we have, like the director said, it's probably about 10% of of that 400, but it's really a lot less. And what remains, we're having quite a few of them that are retiring. They've already started the retirement process, and they'll be leaving. I mean, we're looking at quite a few in the next couple months. So, because there hasn't been any hiring.
Very serious.
Yeah, so it's dire need.
People don't think that it's necessary that these parks and recreational facilities need to be here. Yeah. I'm telling you, it's a part of the critical growth, not just health, education, and safety. The parks and recreation facilities are needed because it is a part of the family growth, community growth, and the surroundings for us to literally, not just for our tourists, but for our own people, our own community residents, to be able to do things as families together, to build upon who we are as island residents. So, Mr. Chair, I know I took more than my time, but I just want to share with you that I support this effort, and I think there should be more. But until then, we'll work with what we've got, and these guys have their homework cut out on us. You have 3 action items for 3 new legislations that we can work with. I think we should commit to these guys that we can look at those drafts and then give it to you to see if we can introduce and work closely with the oversight chair, because this team, a part of his committee, is here with us to support your efforts. So that's my commitment, sir, and I yield back to you.
I just want to add maybe a 4th action item is that our employees don't get overtime, and they come in on weekends. We have to readjust their schedules just so that we have coverage on weekends when they have to go be at a park or the recreational facility. And they also do not have hazardous pay. And some of the things that other people that get hazardous pay for are the same things our employees deal with. I mean, just some things to consider for our employees.
Thank you, Director, but by statute, if you work overtime, you get paid overtime.
Yes, you're correct, but then it cuts off the budget that we have, and so we're short at the end of the year.
Okay, just take a look at your budget. We're going to be coming up to the budget soon, but take a look at your budget, and then we'll work it. We'll try to figure out something to take care of you.
And then
It's not fair. It's not fair.
And if you would allow us the flexibility to retitle some of our employees to the actual work that they are doing, that will certainly also help us. I mean, we don't have an archaeologist technician doing PC work or clerical work, and the title is still an archaeological technician. We need to correct that. We don't...
Just submit whatever you're looking at, and then we'll
Yes,
figure it
sir.
out. You got the oversight
you.
here, got the appropriation. You've
right.
got 8 senators that are going to back you guys, okay? But as soon as you start submitting it, then we start looking at it. Because on some occasion, okay, some of the bills that are introduced, if we're not the prettiest one, they don't get the attention. Por favor, I'm not here to be pretty. I'm here to do a job. That's what I'm going to do. Senator Roy, do you have any questions for the panel?
Not much. Thank you. Mr. Chair, it is my pleasure to be a co-sponsor of this legislation. First, I want to thank Parks and Recs and team for all your hard work, from the Zuzus to the Duk-Duks, you know. Thank you also, Director, for stepping up out of retirement and stepping up to serve the people once again. Deputy Director Warren, you know, you've been a tireless advocate for the agency, and you've been at the forefront since the very get-go of the administration. And I know you're not here for a salary. You live peacefully. You don't need this job, but you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart. You care about tourism. You care about our island and our people.
The love for the island.
Yes. And I fully support the improvement and of our recreational facilities for our people. Truthfully, at the end of the day, we need to invest in our people's parks and recs for our people to use these facilities to regroup, recoup, and recharge. The investment is sound, and I know that it will positively impact our community, from our nennies to our nanas. It is also crucial we provide our Parks and Recreation team with the necessary tools to maintain parks and ensure our facilities are good for the community youth. This key investment goes right back to the people we serve, literally. I fully support the proposed legislation, and I look forward to its passage. Again, we have 8 colleagues backing it, and it's going to pass. I hope that with this investment, we will see more and more generations enjoy our island's genuine beauty. I know we are very fast to throw agencies under the bus for headlines, but I know at the end of the day, if they don't have the support, we have no one to blame but ourselves. Let's focus on progress and rebuilding our island community instead of treating and tearing each other down. I again look forward to seeing these funds infused to enhance our island's community and Parks and Recreation operations. So with that being said, you guys pretty much covered all my questions. I don't really have much other than, can you guys work with Department of Land Management and resurvey properties to make sure that they're in you guys' hands or in the government's hands of what agency is responsible for it, so that we know who, or what, when happened, right? Example, you mentioned Menengun. We've had some situations with that property. I believe there's also another situation with Nimitz Beach. The adjacent property owner has brought it up to DLM. There's also some boat court properties that are also in Dedido that certain landowners adjacent to the property have had some trouble issues and want to resolve that possibly by buying it out from the government, or you know, just surveying it properly so it's taken care of and there's no further issues. Also, on another note, to be creative, would you guys explore rental operation for tourism district, like Ipaw Beach, right? What if you guys did like kayaks and, you know how the hotels down there, they rent out like, I don't know what the heck those things are called, but rowboats and paddle boards, right? So I think that's a real good investment for you guys to also incur some fees and then also, you know, return back it to into your day-to-day operations. Yeah. I mean, you guys have lifeguards on post. They can
we actually have permits required for these kind of businesses, so they do come in and they pay the fee to operate that kind of business. We won't invest in it ourselves because we don't want to be competing with them, but they do. We do have the beach amphibious stuff, the rowboats, the ski boats, they all come in to get their permits, and so they do pay. Going back to the surveys, we are working with land management. We are surveying the Tiwak property now. We're working on surveying Garao's Cave. I don't think any of you have been to Garao's Cave, but it's a piece of property that belongs to the Department of Parks and Recreation. But right now, there is no access to it because all the surrounding adjacent properties are all privately held. And so we're trying to survey that and make sure that we know which are the points of our property. And so when the property surrounding it is sold, that the first option is to sell it to at least the government or the Department of Parks and Recreation, so we can have access to Garao's Cave. So yes, we're working with them to make sure they identify what properties in the inventory that belong to Parks and Recreation are actually Parks and Recreation.
Thank you so much, Director. Just to be current, do you guys have any survey market studies regarding burials, and what is the current cost you guys are charging for burials at Tiwak?
Cost per burial, I believe, is $50.
Wow.
That's the charge. One of the other things we need to address with DPR is the fee structure. We'll present that to our board, our commission, and then from there we'll come to the legislature to amend our fees. Has your board met to discuss the fee schedules? We are waiting for the chair to give us the time when he's available to meet. So we're sitting and waiting for that.
And that's why I'm still acting.
That's Bob Steffi.
Bob Steffi is your chairman?
Bob Steffi is our chair. So we have a quorum now, but I believe he might be involved in, since it's the Olympic time now, might be involved in that right now. So, but we have been waiting to get the director confirmed, and that was an issue when I was acting director as well.
Okay, so we're anticipating a meeting after the Olympics. Is he in Paris? Do we know where he's at?
No, he's spoken to us, and he said he just needs to find the available time for him to be able to sit down with us and the other board members to get going. But going back to the Tiwak Cemetery, I know we have fees other than the $50 that we do charge, because I know the digging of the hole and the equipment that we have to have there. And so it's more than $50, but I don't have that exact number.
Yeah, the total fee that we charge to the funeral homes is $500. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Another property idea. Regarding the cemetery, what is you guys' situation regarding the mausoleums and affordable, what do you call it? Unfortunate units being built down there? I only bring this up because, you know, all of the people down there are quite comfortable individuals, and the liability of any of that unengineered, you know, mausoleums are a liability for the government, right? At the end of the day, if that tin roof flies to Mr. and Mrs. Juan Clan, I don't know, right? I think at the end of the day, we're going to be responsible because we're allowing such activities on our properties. And as much as it is a little bit of a sensitive issue, the general public needs to understand that it's a liability.
Yes.
If we don't maintain that such, I don't know where they're getting their building permit.
There is guidelines on what you can and build down there. And since COVID, because of COVID situation, there's a lot of extra activity and designs that was erected down there. We've addressed that. It's difficult to come in and have them remove it. But since we've put our foot down, that they've stuck to the plans there. With regard to the mausoleums, I mean, yeah, there is a master plan that was developed for Tigua. We've looked at it, the director and I, with Joe Santos, who presented it to us, and it's really beautiful plans, but we would definitely need the legislative help on that one, because that way we can also have the condominiums and also additional
I meant the non-permitted mausoleums.
Yes,
I know our intent is to
that all
obviously
started under COVID, and there was nobody around to see that. They were just doing it while people were told to stay home.
Thank you so much for that information. The Mount Humuzang Manglo is an annual Good Friday hike. Do you guys know of any way or can you guys have an exploration regarding the safety of the trail and access, how we can better improve that trail? Because we honestly know that every year it's more than 100 people go up that trail, right, on Good Friday. So I was wondering if you guys have ever looked at if that property belongs to us, what track it is, and if we can do any improvement on that specific area so that people can navigate it safer.
We will certainly look at it. We know that the starting point for the hike is private property. And so, yes, in fact, when you come back down from the trail, you get fed by the people that own the property. They give you the drinks and the food, but certainly something that we can look into.
Thank you, Director. And, I have nothing further. You have my full support. Sidus Masi, Mr. Chair, nothing further at this time.
Thank you. Senator Lohan, do you have anything?
Yes,
You'll be followed by Senators Nicholas.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, Director Sablan, Deputy Pelletier, and of course, Chief Talahi. I gotta say that passion for, of course, Parks and Recreation is definitely with me. I started my career out, of course, for the Ada Blossom administration of the governor's office and was assigned to Parks and Recreation. And yet, it's sad that over the years, the Parks and Recreation has been really watered down, and now it's more parks than recreation, because we had a full array, of course, under the Ada Blossom administration. We had, of course, Director Tony Mariano, Deputy, what's his name? No. Gosh, anyway, I think of his name, I forgot his name anyway. It was very, very aggressive at the time and progressive as we built the recreation center. No, the deputy.
Is it Peter Calvo?
No, it wasn't. It was, gosh, I'll think of his name. His name's right at the tip of my tongue, but it can't come out. But anyway, we built the recreation center here in Agutnia here, and the jogging trail. We had a full fitness center over there as well. We had, what's that? No, that was before. This was under the Ada Blossom administration, yeah. And of course, we had aerobics at the time and all that. But over the years, and almost all the villages had youth centers and very aggressive, youth teams, play basketball, baseball, and all that, yeah. And so it was, and of course, at that time, we didn't have the Harmon facility yet. That was in the plans to have the Harmon facility. But it was in the plans for making. But, at the time, and of course, we had a full array. We had our challenges, don't get me wrong. We had our challenges, and it was a constant challenge. The bathroom was a constant challenge. The park maintenance was a constant challenge. But we had a full array, of course, of maintenance. We had parks maintenance that were housed up there in Mighty, And but we had the challenges, but there was more involvement, and there was more given into Parks and Recreation to make sure that we were truly parks and recreation. And but now, of course, with all the recreational facilities you have, but it's more now maintaining the parks. At the time, we didn't have a park police, which we did, because we still had great challenges at the time. Maybe not as much as we do now. We didn't. I think at the time we didn't have any homeless situation there. Now we have a lot. But I'm full support of this. But let me ask a couple questions here, because when I'm looking at this, and it's as Deputy Pelletier had mentioned, these are your basic needs, right? So let me ask, because Mr. Zablon, you also mentioned about the other needs, you know, this swimming pool that you're looking at, of course, Southern High swimming pool. That, of course, I think was, I don't know if anybody ever, I don't think any graduating students from the beginning of opening the school ever swam in that swimming pool, you know, at the time. Maybe Tilapias did, yeah. Yeah, and I know it wasn't, it was supposed to be Olympic-sized swimming pool, but I think it was short. That's why it was never used as for competition, because it was short. The length was a little short than the official size for Olympic swimming pool. But things that you had mentioned, what, you know, alongside your basic needs, the other needs that you were putting forth to get the parks back up, what, aside from this, what is the additional funding that approximate funding that you need for all these other things that you had mentioned as well? Because I would love to see Parks and Recreation back to being Parks and Recreation. Yeah. And again, with the community center, youth centers, you know, I remember Pete Ojeda in charge of parks. He was park administrator. We had Mr. G that was taking care of the Guerrero Field and all that. And the baseball stadium was active almost every night. You know, almost every night. Actually, not just the baseball field, but the softball field was very active every night. GML and things like that. But, you know, that has gone, and, you know, and we, again, not you guys, but we lead the example of not. If we water it down, you're not going to have it. And programs are going to die out. And they have died out. You know, so what are your additional funding needs for everything that you mentioned, aside from what was put as for maintenance?
Well, before I mention what are additional, I want to give a shout out to our recreational people, because they are also, maybe you don't hear about them, but they are, every single day you go up to the Harmon Complex, and that gym is fully utilized. The Harmon Pool, I mean, we've even had to rearrange our hours to accommodate certain people that want to come there and have their picnics or their pool parties or birthday parties. We've had to have different organizations give them a special day that they can come in and utilize it for their own organizations to be able to. So our Paseo Stadium and Guerrero Stadium, you go there during the daytime on weekends and people are playing there. They're playing their games. And we're starting here in September a village baseball league where we're trying to get all the villages together to utilize the Paseo Stadium, even though they can only do it during the daytime, but we're going to have that league going. So the recreation part of Parks and Recreation is alive and well. And they're doing their best to make sure that we provide our young athletes, our older athletes, our masters, the opportunity to be able to use whatever facilities we have. Our one big challenge with recreation is actually lifeguards. If we could get, in fact, we're working with GVB, with their VSOs, to allow their VSOs to be able to be the ones to handle IPA and Matapang, and we'll get our own regular lifeguards to go up to the Harmon Complex. Because it's a, you know, besides Wednesday, it's open every single day. And so we don't have a countless number of lifeguards simply because the military pays more than we do. And so that's another thing that we probably put into your hands, is to upgrade the starting pay of a lifeguard. Because right now we have, what, 3 or 4 that have left us, have gone to the military pools because they pay more. But as far as additional stuff, I know the deputy is the one that had put this together with the chief of Parks Police and our Parks Administrator and our Recreation Administrator. But if we're going to entertain these other new things that are coming up, like the skate parks and pickleball and renovating the tennis courts, which are actually not in here, these will be things that we would ask additional funding for.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying, because I'm seeing just the basic necessities. Right. So, but you're needing to enhance those
Senator,
areas
one of the challenges or the things we need is, in addition to this, is, like I said earlier, manpower.
Well. Yeah, and
the manpower, the training for them, so that we can start these start these programs, these youth programs. Will Stinnett, the recreational administrator, he's taken upon himself to out-of-pocket redo the whole gym, to reconfigure it, and buy paint and buy basketball rims and stuff, and install it all on his dime from his nonprofit. That's out of the love of what he has to Parks and Rec. And now he wants to start all these youth programs, which is what you're asking about. So,
Well, rehashing again the rebirth of the youth programs. Yeah, yeah.
one is getting the manpower, and two is training them up to that level where they can provide that, and where we can trust them to handle the youth and youth programs. So,
well, that's another challenge we're going to have, because even if we rehash it and they come on board, you can bet with the military buildup that their recreational facilities are going to need a local, folks as well, and they'll pilfer from the local side if we don't compensate them well.
Yeah, so those would be the challenges. Like the director said, when I came on board, we had 13 lifeguards. Now we have 3. And when you're competing with the military, that's about $19 to $20 an hour to our 12. It's a no-brainer. So we need the help on that part of it. And even if we get new people, we train them, then they go to other areas. And that's agency-wide. Every agency's having that problem where we're losing.
So let me ask, with the basic needs for this maintenance, do you have enough staffing then already for to be able to, for the equipment that you're going to have to be able to maintain it? Do you have enough maintenance, parks maintenance crew to be able to man for your basic needs?
Well, what we've done now is we've given the green light to identify the DOL employees that are working with us, the good ones, and then try to get them on board.
Okay.
And that's something that we want to do as well, the director and myself, because we've identified quite a few good workers. We do have certified backhoe operators and equipment operators that can fill in. Where we are lacking is plumbers and electricians, because part of the things that when they break down, we need the expertise of them to provide that service for us.
Sure. In the parks and stuff, again, we were talking about shower heads and pipes being cut and all that. I'm just wondering, maybe in other jurisdictions that have parks that maybe not as often vandalized as ours, but they must have some vandalization happening in those parks. I'm just wondering if the equipment upgrade, in regards to helping to alleviate a lot of the stuff that are being stolen, from shower heads, because sometimes I see shower heads that maybe can fit in my shower head, right? So they're like, hey, let me take this off, so mine is broken or something so they take it off, right? I'm just wondering if there are any upgrades in maybe anti-theft or something that were more durable
I think
or susceptible to
that would have to be in the design phase.
Yeah.
Something like in the mainland, there's some bathrooms that are complete 100% stainless steel, where they can't steal anything, they can't break it. And that would be, if there's any renovation, then it would be try to.
So is that
in
the works then, to be able to turn our bathrooms or facilities into something like that? That are less less susceptible to I guess to ill intent.
There are upgrades that are being planned. One of them actually is for like Matapang. There's going to be a whole brand new park there if GVB goes through with their plans, as well as for EPAL. As far as the other restrooms around the island, all we can do is lock the doors, but then they come and they cut the bolts and they go in and they steal the mirrors, everything. The whole story, but it's something that it's...
We had those challenges back then, not as often as now, probably, I'm sure.
You're right. But, with our park police, there are now less of that happening, but it's still happening every once in a while.
Are you working on that? I don't know, maybe something maybe in partnership with the Guam Visitors Bureau and maybe park signage as well? But you don't want to put a sign up there if you say, hey, Mungi Park.
Well, one of the big parks, and I've talked with President Carl Gutierrez on this, is that like they did in Triangle Park, is they actually put up a container home, and somebody lives there
Oh, yeah.
24 hours a day, and they're the caretakers of the park. And so we're looking at that option to do at EPAL and Mataping as well, and to have them be the caretakers 24 hours a day to make sure that people know that there's somebody watching this park, and so don't fool around.
If you're coming from the Hilton side at EPAL, you'll notice there's a building before the bathroom. That used to be the maintenance area for the maintenance crew. It has a full-on storage, a big office and bathroom, its own contained bathroom. So, but with the departure of early retirement that happened back in the day, we lost a lot of people. So that sits vacant right now.
Let me ask this question, because now you can no longer use Paseo for concerts. Yeah, so I know the inception of the Shell down at EPAL was for concerts. Is that not, I mean, because I see concerts happening now, but they're not utilizing they're utilizing the Shell, but not for the concerts itself. So is that no longer a usable building?
It's still usable. You know, that's the brainchild.
I mean, for the Ricky Berdalia, right?
Yeah, the late Governor
for,
Ricky
for the
Berdalia,
purpose that it was built. Yeah.
And it actually still has tiers for people to do to sit on the grass and things like that. So it's still usable. It's just that the concert organizers or event organizers, many of them don't want a stage that's facing the road and not facing the major crowd that should be in the park. The last one that we had there was actually the Filipino community of Guam that did their Pistang Filipino event there. We had the pet shows there. So it's still usable. As far as for concerts, it's a small area to do for concerts. You see that many people that have concerts build their own stage because that amphitheater is just too small and the area is too small.
Yeah, no, I'm just wondering because, you know, I mean, if it's not usable anymore, maybe it's land that you can use again, you know, but I mean, if it still is, because you know, like I said, I've noticed that the concert, people that throw concerts, they put their own stage, design their own stage, so I don't know if it had to do with, if you know, something they're not going to use anymore. You guys make money on concerts? I mean, when it goes down there, I mean,
those events are usually handled by a third-party organization, and so we just get a certain fee for the use of the park, but not for whatever's happening there. The organization will get.
Okay, so you get maybe like rental fee or something like that. Yeah. Is it
rental fees, or we do a barter system in lieu of you paying us rental? Can you donate something that will be useful to our parks? And in this recent ones, that we had buckets of paint donated to us to be able to paint our facilities.
Oh, okay. So you don't get a percentage of the ticket then or something?
Oh no, we don't.
No. We just there's the hourly fee that we charge them. Like if they set up 2 days before, then the day of event, and 2 days after, we charge them for all 5 days, and then usually we hash it out after that. And sometimes we ask for in-kind donations, or they make the offer, and we've been able to get some equipment to help us get through the hard times.
So, like bartering, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. How about Tengisan? What's the situation with Tengisan? You guys man that Tengisan, the park down there, or?
Technically, it's still under DPR jurisdiction. But that's another thing. That's one of the things that we're having surveyed to make sure that it is actually government of Guam property and not Chamorro Land Trust. Because if it's Chamorro Land Trust, that we can't touch.
I think there's
the military, which is talking about another survey that we're looking at is Asan Beach. We know we have the Memorial Park there, but adjacent to that is the Asan Beach property, which now the military claims is their property.
Yeah.
And so we have to work something out with Mayor Frankie Salas to make sure that before we invest anything into that park, that we verify and certify that it does belong to the government of Guam. At this point, there's a claim by the parks, the national parks, that's actually their property.
Okay, and I remember, I know we spoke about about Chinese Park as well, right?
Yes.
So Chinese Park, that's still under the
Chinese Park is still, we still have an active adoption program with them, and they are very much wanting to bring it back to not just prior years, the way it was before, but even enhance it more. And so they are actively working on it. We're maintaining it right now, is keeping the grass cut and all that, but we don't want to invest our own money into fixing up that park because the Chinese Association wants to do it. And in fact, once it's done, they're going to call it the Chinese Friendship Park. So we're looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, and the reason why that does, and we had this conversation before, is because I know the Tamuning mayor's office is very interested because they want to maintain it. They want to be able to maintain it.
So we're working with her to see whether she can adopt that along with the Chinese Association.
The Chinese Association, they have certain things that they want to do, as all the Chinese ornamental lights and structures, so that's something that they're willing to step up to the plate and provide, so when they develop it.
Okay. Now, you spoke about the Haganya pool, right? About your pool. When can we, I mean, no, you said 100% design is done, right? So you're just awaiting now to put it out for a bid? Okay, okay, so in all reality, like, when do you think people can start swimming in there?
Well, the construction part of it is going to be 2 years.
So it'll be 2 years
after
construction, or after the awarding of the contract?
After construction starts,
okay.
yes.
So if it's awarded,
sometime in
when do you think that RFP is going to go out?
Hopefully this year. We were aiming for this month.
Okay. So
But if it doesn't, then it'll be probably in September. But they're packaging it together now.
Okay, so we're looking maybe 26?
Yes.
26 still, okay, yeah. And you said you're kind of integrating the pool and the tennis courts? I mean,
not integrating it, but at least the restroom facility.
At least the restroom facility, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
to clarify the record, it's considered a construction site, so it's under DPW purview right now.
Oh, okay, okay.
We are just the benefactors when it's done. We're part of the design and putting our input in during the process, but when it's done, that's when will be passed over to DPR.
There's one more thing that you said in regards to electronic monitoring. Was there a statute that prevents electronic monitoring, or is there something that prevented?
No, we're trying to get cameras
Oh,
at
okay.
our facility, and we were told that you can't have any Wi-Fi systems in any government agency, so that would definitely put a hinder on us having.
Why is that?
I have no idea. I mean, that's
Well, we
what
need
I
to
was
look into
told.
that because,
Yeah.
I mean, Wi-Fi in government facilities, you couldn't have that?
I don't believe so.
Our offices are government facilities. We have Wi-Fi.
Okay, so we'll look into that. That's what we were told.
Really? Angel,
One of the
angel.
things that we're also looking at, I mean, I use Wi-Fi in the office, so.
An office facility and a park facility is a government facility.
Yeah, one thing we're looking at with OTEC is actually to get into the digital age. I mean, we want people to be able to get on the computers and reserve a park or look at the calendar and see what parks are available, what days they can use it for. And so maybe part of that is we're going to use these things to be able to make it user-friendly. Instead of them coming down to Paseo and lining up and trying to get, just get on the computer like you do now
online.
For making an appointment for driver's license or things like that. So we are looking at that.
How many park restrooms are open now? I mean, in the different park. I mean, just of all the parks that you have.
I couldn't give you an exact number, but probably not more than 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of all the parks that you man. Okay. And you have challenges. Which is your biggest challenge? Which park is your biggest challenge?
It used to be EPAL.
Okay. Now it's lit up. So.
Yeah. So now we have challenges in the Surfside. We have challenges at Fish Eye Park. Matapang. So we're still working on them slowly. Get them all fixed up and lit up. And we work with other agencies like Fish Eye Park. We have to work with the Guam Waterworks Authority because the situation where the restroom was built either below
Yes, below grade.
sewer level, and that has to have a pump to be able to get that sewer going and into the system. And that has been broken for quite a few years. And so we're trying to see whether Waterworks can, fund that, since it's their system.
Chief Terlahi, I mean, in our initial meeting in GVB regarding the authorization of park police as well. So if say for example, vandalism was happening in one of your parks, and you guys were your officers were called down to a park, but they have since say these folks have since left that park, okay, and they're somewhere else that are not park property. Do you guys still have authority again, of these folks who may have been accused of the vandalization maybe or something in the park's property, but now have left
okay, so vandalism happened at our park is what you're saying, and then
Yeah.
the responsibles have left the park?
Yeah, they have left the park.
Outside our jurisdiction, we will still pursue that.
You can still pursue
based
that.
on the original report or the complaint.
Okay.
Which is our park.
Okay, but simultaneously, I mean, right then you don't, I mean, it's not tomorrow that they're over there. It's, they had gone now to a different facility, somewhere else that is outside
As
of
long
park.
as we could identify that they are the
Okay.
responsibles,
Okay.
we will pursue them.
Yeah,
with
because
an
I know we talked about this to give you guys that flexibility or the authorization, because to be able to respond more to and quicker.
Yes,
to,
we would. Yes,
yeah.
we would be. We would be authorized by law to pursue.
Okay, okay. Now that tragic situation that happened down in Tumon that resulted in a death, right? A death.
Correct.
Now we spoke, and I forgot what you had said regarding jurisdictional issues. If you had a little more jurisdiction. I totally forgot, but we had spoke about
There
that.
are some jurisdictional concerns, but I guess that would be the courts to interpret.
Yeah.
But specifically in the law, it identifies park police to enforce park rules, regulations, and law. It doesn't really allow us outside of our parks, and that's in our meeting. I had mentioned, even with AG Moylan there, I had mentioned about jurisdictional issues, if we would have any concerns, and the response was that, or I was asked if we were Category 1 post certified, and my response was yes, we are Category 1 officers, meaning we can make arrests, give citations, things to that effect.
Yeah, because you're, say for example, I'll just use Tumon. You have these parks, right? You have, of course, Ipao, the Governor Joseph Flores Park. Then you have Matapang, right? So in between those, that's not park property. But if something was going on there and you guys patrol that, would you still have?
In a situation, in a scenario like that, again, I would, if it happens in our presence, any situation, we will go ahead and do what is necessary to whatever enforcement and let the courts decide. But yeah, for the most part, there might be some concerns.
Okay, and did we ever get clarification from the AG then in regards to that and how maybe
we have not.
Okay, maybe we can work on that to try to get that to, I mean, enhance, because you guys are having more and more challenges we're having, and it's just.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Again, I'm in full support, and I'm the vice chair for Parks and Recreation anyway. So, anyway, so I'm in full support of this. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Luan.
Thank you.
Senator Dwayne. Senegres, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much. I just want to say, gentlemen, thank you for your testimony today. I support the measure. I see you got a real Christmas list going on here. My only main concern is, that if you do get it and you properly store it and maintain it so that you can, so you can use it for a very long time. I feel kin, you know, because my dad used to be an administrator for boxing down in Paseo a long time ago. And he goes, you know, Governor Paul Calvo made me an administrator for boxing, and I don't know how to box. But, you know, we would go there every week, and it was a wonderful thing, you know. So back then, you know, recreation was the key, you know, to keep our communities safe and, you know, our community engaged in some type of recreation. And I really appreciate that, and I would like to revisit that again, you know. So I was down at the fisheye, and I'm very happy you brought that up. I brought my wife to the fisheye for her birthday. And, you know, we're at that age, right, where you hear water and you need to go. And so I ended up at the that restroom that you were talking about. And, I mean, you know, there was no fixtures there. There was just absolutely nothing. It was appalling. But that was way before your time, and you know, we're going to give you some time to fix that. I do understand what you're going through, you know. It's a couple of years ago, you know, I used to say, who messes our parks? You know, it's just us, you know, and I don't know why we can't get this right. You know, every other jurisdiction I've gone to, you know, they love their parks and they take care of their parks, and, you know, they just, I mean, it's amazing that, you know, we don't love our parks the same way. We spoke a lot earlier when you were the director, Mr. Pelletier, and I told you that I'll promise that every time I get on the mic, I'll say, love your parks. I also added, love your manamcos to that as well. But it's very important that our public, you know, understand that, you know, you're just destroying our property. This is what you're paying for. This is your park, and we need to emphasize that, respect it. You know, it breaks my heart when service members from across the nation come here and they go to our parks and they go to our hills and our mountains and our valleys, and they're taking pictures and showing how wonderful our island is, and they love it and they love it and they respect it. But we who live here, you know, we take it for granted. And I think it's high time we remind our public that these are your parks. And, you know, in spite of all our efforts, you know, you're buying all the material out of your pocket. You know, it goes in vain because, you know, we're not loving our parks. We're not taking care of them. So I wanted to emphasize that before. But I do understand, you know, this list, and I do support you, you know, in your efforts to bring our parks back to something that we can be proud of. And I support you, and you know, just like my colleagues here, we're going to work to help see this through. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Love your parks.
Thank you, Senator Nicholas. There being no one else to testify on this bill, this hearing is now concluded. I know Director Sablan is happy. I want to thank everyone for attending this hearing and providing feedback and suggestion. And you know, everything that was recommended and suggested, please, if you can, give the feedback to the senators so they can feed back to the committee, and then we can figure out what to do, okay?
Senators, we'll do that, and the people are grateful for this help that you're giving us.
We're going to do what we need to do. We need to take care of our parks.
You're doing it for the people. Thank you.
All right? Okay. And hopefully I'll get that update soon, okay? And that being said, Bill number 331-37 COR public hearing is now adjourned. The time now is 5:01. God bless you. Thank you. Take care.